To the venue, we have plenty to look forward to today. Women's 400 Freestyle S13, Rebecca Miles will take on Anna Stitsenko, the top two swimmers in the world. You've got Bradley Snyder and Yang Bozun going head-to-head in the 50 free, and you got the likes of Brazil and Dubrov and Kripak going in the 100 fly against one another. Shu Qing and Sasha Kindred, two of the most decorated para swimmers of all time, will go in the men's 200 IM, while in the women's 200 individual medley, Ellie Simmons is set to make her first appearance in one of her favorite events at these games, up against Elizaveta Mareshko, Courtney Jordan, Nikita Howarth. That should be a good one as well in the women's 50-meter Butterfly S7. Top two swimmers in the world in that race, in that event, in that classification.
Yes, so as you mentioned, day 5 of the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, and plenty of action. Of course, we start with the longer endurance events this morning before finishing off with the all-out sprint of the 50 metres free and butterfly. And look, we may well see some records fall this morning. We have a couple of swimmers who hold Paralympic records, but their qualification times for these games are actually quicker than what those Paralympic records are. So there's been some big improvers in the last 4 years since London 2012, and we will wait and see what sort of form they can produce in the heats in the first session of the day. And of course the finals are in the second session of day 5 here at the Olympic Aquatic Stadium, as we wait for the athletes to enter for the first heat, which is the men's 400 metres freestyle S13 classification.
Technical officials being introduced to the crowd. Men's and women's starter will be introduced. Renato Silva and Vincius Barroso, the men's and women's starters. But the Australian flag has flown proudly in the opening couple of days of swimming competition. And on day 5, they expect further success in the pool. Great Britain too, multiple medalists in the swimming competition.
Yes, the crowd gradually building here. It's been one of the venues that's been extraordinarily popular with the Brazilian public, and has been somewhat of a party atmosphere, you'd have to say, particularly in the second session of the day, which is when the medal events are held. So the crowd's trickling in.
With the likes of Daniel Diaz and Andre Brasil both set to swim in today's preliminaries and indeed final session, should they qualify for the respective finals. Very simple competition format. It's 8 fastest swimmers advance to the finals. The men's 400 meter freestyle S13 first heat of 2 will get us underway on day 5. 6 swimmers go in this opening heat. Devin Gertel of Canada, Stephen Clegg of Great Britain, Ukraine's Yaroslav Denisenko, Braden Jason of Australia, his compatriot Jay Templeton, and Tyler Mrak of Canada go in lanes 2 to 7 respectively. Confirmation of the World and Paralympic records. Ihar Boki will go in the second heat of 2, the world record holder. Chufarov swims in a different classification and is indeed the world record holder. He will swim in the second heat as well. An S12 swimmer, Boki is 13 swimmer. Certainly Chufarov is the type of swimmer who can compete with the very best in any classification, as 12 or 13. So the swimmers make their way out onto the pool deck. Would have been waiting in the call room, the holding room. They've made their way out now for the very first event on day 5. This is the preliminary session, heats effectively. To post times that'll decide lane draws for the finals. The 8 fastest swimmers advancing. There's Devin Gertel for a moment of Canada. This is Clegg. Well, he comes from a family of successes. Mrak of Canada goes in 7. It's Stephen Clegg of Great Britain going in lane 3. His brother James and his sister Libby. Both medalists 4 years ago in London in swimming and athletics respectively. This is Devin Gertel. The swimmer to watch is Ukraine's Yaroslav Denisenko. He and his partner, already medalists at Rio 2016, a silver in the 200 IM for the Ukrainian. A sub 4-minute swimmer over this distance. Very good start in lane 5 for Braden Jason, but the underwater of both Templeton and Denisenko is impressive as they break water. It is Denisenko who leads. And this is a race about settling into your rhythm, finding your rhythm in the early stages. It's 8 lengths of this Olympic pool at the Olympic Aquatic Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. It's a very confident early lead is being built up here by Yaroslav Denisenko, and he's been impressive on the turns. Gets a good push off the wall and shown that his underwater is solid, albeit a little sluggish off the starting blocks this time, but he has that to play with in the longer races.
Yes, he does, looking very comfortable, settling into a lovely rhythm, a lovely tempo at this early stage of the 400 metres free S13 classification, which also includes S12 athletes as we round through to the first 100 metres. Let's get a little check-in on the time there. And Denisenko touching in at that first 100 metres at 57.48 and slightly off the pace, 101.32 is Templeton from Australia, and touching in at third, Clegg from Great Britain at 101.64.
Well, it's interesting to see how Templeton is going to be approaching this 400-metre race. It's not his favourite event. He is a little more of a sprinter, and somebody who's only been posting times around 4:18 coming into Rio 2016 over the 400 free. But Denisenko showing his class. He's the only sub 4-minute swimmer in this field for the first heat of 2 in the men's 400 freestyle, and is looking very, very much in control of this race. It is a very settled rhythm, a very smooth stroke, and he's not expending a great deal of energy as he just pulls himself through the water. A lovely glide around, but the battle between Clegg, Jason and Templeton in lanes 3, 5 and 6 is all very level. The two Australians swimming side by side, Jason and Templeton in lanes 5 and 6. Templeton might just be a shade ahead, but at the turn, who's got the quicker of the turns? It's Templeton by a shade, 0.606 of a second, so 0.06 of a second separating the two Australians as Clegg falls off the pace now. It's still Denisenko in firm control of this 400 free.
So the Australians about 6 seconds off the pace of Denisenko at the moment, who you'd have to say just looks more and more comfortable as the laps progress, and obviously with the swimmers that don't prefer the longer distance, sometimes the temptation is to go out a little hard, particularly when you see a strong swimmer really leading the way. You want to stay in touch with that lead, but it looks as though these Australians are staying reasonably relaxed. Just notice a little quickening of the tempo for Templeton there, starting to roll the arms through just a little quicker, but Denisenko, let's check in with him at the 300 metre mark. He just is looking so comfortable, so strong, really laying down the gauntlet for the rest of the competition to follow. 3:02.67 is what he's touched in, and it looks as though Jason from Australia has just quickened the pace a little.
Well, he has. It was Templeton who quickened the stroke rate, but it was Jason who quickened the pace. So Jason is proving to be a little more effective in the pool currently, but it is Denisenko who is still very much in command of this 400 freestyle, and with just over 50 metres to go, it is Denisenko who's going to turn first at the 3:50 mark. He's well off world record pace, but he knows that he does not need to expend a great deal of energy in this 400 free. All he needs to do is comfortably swim inside himself and within his range, and leave the energy for the final. It's heats in the morning and finals in the evening local time in Rio de Janeiro. So final session follows on the same day of competition as the heat session, and Denisenko is going to touch first in this heat, just over the 4-minute mark of 4:05.03 for Yaroslav Denisenko, and the silver medalist in the 200 IM is laid down a decent marker in the first of the heats of the 400 free. It is Australia's Jason who touches second fastest, with Templeton touching on third, and Clegg will come home fourth fastest. It'll now come down to times to see who advances. Gotel of Canada touches next, while last to make his way to the wall, Tyler Morak still in the water, and coming in for the finish, the 18-year-old Canadian swimming from the outside lane.
Yes, so the Canadian coming in, finally rounding out the field. A reminder that it is, yes, the top 8 times that will go through to the final in the second session on day 5 of the swimming here at the Olympic Aquatics Stadium.
So Denisenko, the victor in the opening heat of this men's 400 free S13. He'll take confidence from that swim. He'll know that he's got plenty left in reserve for a final where he will no doubt have his work cut out for him by the star of the show and the man who won gold in this event back in London 4 years ago, Ihar Boki of Belarus.
Yeah, so I'll wait now for those who finished further back in Heat 1.
Well, it was a good start from Denisenko, used that underwater nicely. Very quick reaction time from Templeton off the starting blocks. But it was Denisenko who only needed a couple of strokes to get into his rhythm. Once he found that tempo in the pool, it was virtually unstoppable. It is Denisenko then who touches ahead of the 2 Australians, Wade Jason and Jacob Templeton. Clegg touches 4th fastest and a wait to see on times who advances.
Well, on the qualification times, at least the Australians might fancy their chances as we look to Heat 2.
Men's 400 metre freestyle S13, the second heat. It's the starting list with Bekrik, Salguero, Chufarov, Boki, Holin, Saleh, Raman Saleh, that is, the younger of the Saleh brothers of Azerbaijan, and Tomasz Matera of Brazil. Only swimmer with representing Brazil. He's proved to be exceedingly popular, as you would expect, at Rio 2016. Among the swimmers to watch, though, Dmitry Holin of Uzbekistan, an 18-year-old who showed promise and edges towards that 4-minute mark in this event. Bekrik, Salguero, Chufarov, Boki, Holin, Saleh, and Matera. Well, the world record holder, the defending champion, the Paralympic record holder, world champion, Boki goes in lane 4 and immediately looks to take this race to his opponent. Well, he had a little lead out for just a moment and he's still in front, but he's not extending his advantage over the swimmers alongside him. But as this race progresses, you should see a few swimmers starting to fail to keep pace. 15-year-old Bekrik of Australia will just be wanting to learn from the experience of swimming in the pool from the likes of Chufarov, already the world champion in 2013, but Boki on the turn. Just look at the difference he's made. Didn't touch first, but the way he has managed to turn it on off the wall, he and Raman Saleh have come away in lanes 4 and 6.
So Boki, if anything, looks a little conservative, I guess, over the first 100 metres. Pretty close at the turn. It will actually be Saleh who's touched in first, but we can really expect Boki to kick in, particularly in that final 100 metres.
The Boki can keep other swimmers in check. What he does have is the extraordinary ability to be able to control a race and dictate on his own terms, and he's proved that time and time again at international competitions, and indeed the Paralympic Games of London, where he entered 7 events, he medalled in 6 of them and he won gold in 5. So Boki is a class act, and while Raman Saleh is showing some real class in his swim, and just over half a second outside Boki's time at the wall at the 150 mark. He's not quite in the same pedigree as Ihar Boki, despite these two being the same age. Both Belarus born, but now swimming for Azerbaijan. Both the Saleh brothers, Dmitry, a former Paralympic champion, the older brother of Raman, who swims in this heat, the 400 freestyle S13. Boki at the 200 mark, at 2:02.07, so nowhere near the sort of time that he was swimming when he set the world record in Montreal in Canada back in 2013. Chufarov just a little off the pace right now. Must be mentioned that Chufarov is an S12 swimmer and is the world record holder in the S12 classification over this distance, the 400 free. But the remainder of the swimmers, while Holin, Saleh and Matera are also S12 swimmers. Boki, Bekrik, Salguero, S13 swimmers. And Boki leading the way in the men's 400 free S13.
So Bocky continuing to just extend his lead ever so slightly. He's certainly didn't get off to an explosive start, but we've seen through the next 100 metres or so, he's building and building up the stroke rate ever so slightly as he touches in at the 300-metre mark. Touching in at 3:03.35, ahead of Saleh, who has slipped back a little further, the 22-year-old touching in at 3:08.44, 3:10 for Horlin in third position currently.
So Horlin is just looking to get up on the shoulder of Saleh, but it's Bocky who leads the way by some way, and a very confident margin. And having seen the opening heat with Yaroslav Denisenko leading out, there is a real battle in prospect between two swimmers who've been posting times of within a second and a half of one another this year over this distance. So that bodes well for an exciting and thrilling final. And swimmers will be able to work off their opponents who will swim alongside them. The two fastest qualifiers will go in lanes 4 and 5, and indeed there is nobody who is going to be separating Bocky and the victor of the first heat, Denisenko, in lanes 4 and 5. It is Bocky who qualifies quickest, and he will come to the wall. The battle on for the second touch, but it's Horlin that touches ahead of Saleh in the second heat. Fourth going to Chufarov. Fifth touch for Matera, who is applauded by the partisan crowd. Salguero of Spain makes his way to the wall, and 15-year-old Bekrik earning some invaluable experience at these games. Will come to the wall to touch 7th. So 4:43.32. It's quicker than his seeding time for Bekrik, but it is Bocky. Gold in the 100 fly, gold in the 200 IM, bronze in the 100 breast. He's looking set for the preferred lane for the 400 Freestyle S13 final.
Yes, look very comfortable throughout those. Each 100 metre just seemed to build and build that lead, and just such a beautiful, long, strong, relaxed stroke as we prepare for the women's 400 metres freestyle.
It's just such a controlled stroke, is Bocky. Very smooth. He knows he's well in front. So Bocky continues on his merry way, looking for his third gold medal in 4 events at Rio 2016. First of 7, ahead of Sorlin and Roman Saleh touching third quickest. So the swimmers that advance to the final, it'll be Denisenko and Bocky going head-to-head in lanes 4 and 5. All in Saleh, 2 Australians in Jason and Templeton. Chufarov qualifies, and Matera from Brazil will represent the host nation in the final. So this is the first heat of the women's 400 metre freestyle S13. Of South Africa will go in 1. Curry, Vera, Stitsenko, Schnittke, Delgado and Mota. Lane 3 getting away very quickly. It was Alessia Bera of Italy, the 22-year-old, but underwater not quite as impressive as Anna Stitsenko and Naomi Maike Schnittke of Germany, but it's the Ukrainian going in lane 4 that'll be the swimmer to watch. She's currently ranked number 1 in the world over this distance. The 100 metre freestyle world champion and silver medalist in the 400 free at the 2015 World Championships, the 24-year-old Stitsenko. Who feels she has a point to prove when she goes up against Rebecca Myers. That's the expected battle in the women's 400 metre freestyle S13 final. But first it's about the matter of reaching that final and indeed getting your lane draw for the final. Schnittke of Germany going along very nicely, just off the right shoulder currently of Stitsenko of Ukraine. Stitsenko is the class act in this opening heat with 7 swimmers for the women's 400 freestyle, and she's not disappointing. She'll touch first at the 100 mark.
Stetsenko, the fastest qualifier in this heat, of course, swimming in lane 4, 4:23.01. Qualify for the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games.
Well, Schnitger's going at a decent pace here. Schnitger's never gone below 4:40. This is a really good pace for Schnitger, who's an S12 swimmer rather than S13. Ferreira, Curry, Berra and Stetsenko are S13 swimmers, while Schnitger, Delgado and Mota are S12 swimmers, so have a slightly greater and more severe visual impairment than the swimmers in the top 4 lanes. S11, 12 and 13 classification for swimmers with visual impairment, but Stetsenko is leading the way ahead of Schnitger currently, who's on for a very good time, perhaps even be eyeing records in the S12 category. Maybe just dropping a little off the pace now, Schnitger, but Stetsenko is still very much in control. Not quite taking the race to her opponents, but still very much swimming inside herself and well within her range. The battle for third fastest in this heat is developing a little between Delgado and Berra and Curry. Not quite in a line. Currently it's the Italian Berra going in lane 3. He's ahead, but Stetsenko finds herself significantly ahead, over 5 seconds ahead now of Schnitger, while Berra does touch third fastest, over 10.5 seconds behind Stetsenko, who is leading the way. Well, she's just settled so quickly. Very smooth stroke, and again, not a furious pace. And she's got the ability to turn it on for the last 100 if she needs it. She's got plenty of endurance, this Stetsenko. 3:22.86 at the wall with 100 to go.
Yes, looking very comfortable and very dominant indeed, and was coming into the final 300 about 3 body lengths in front, but look at this. I mean, she's really extended that lead a lot further and could be posting a pretty quick time here for qualification.
So into the final 50 goes Stetsenko, 3:57 at the wall. So we're not looking at anything world record pace, but we are looking at a very good time. She knows that the world record holder will be going in the second heat and will just be wanting to lay down somewhat of a marker without necessarily tiring herself out. Anna Stetsenko of the Ukraine is going to take a very comfortable victory in the opening heat of 2 in the women's 400 Freestyle S13. Just glides over the last 4 or 5 meters to the wall and touches in 4:31.02. And that's a lot quicker than any other swimmer in the pool, bar Myers, in this classification this year. So into the wall comes Schnitger in a very, very comfortable 4:43.59. She went out perhaps a little hard. Berra touches third overall, 4:46, while fourth is Delgado Nadal of Spain. Just coming home. In lane 7 is Belkis Mota of Venezuela, 33-year-old, while Alani Ferreira of South Africa, the 18-year-old, took time off the final year in primary school to swim the qualifying competition, the Olympic trials and Paralympic trials in South Africa to get to Rio 2016, goes in lane 1, touches 7th. Stetsenko, though, competent as ever, very strong, and showed her ability with another classy swim.
Yes, she really was a class above the rest in that heat, and yes, as you mentioned, Maya's the only swimmer to be going quicker. Still well outside her best though, Stetsenko, still about 7 or 8 seconds quicker, slower rather than what she had been swimming to qualify for these games.
Just how much does she have in reserve for the final? She might very well need it against Rebecca Myers, the world record holder. Stutsenko qualifies quickest in the first heat. Berra Delgado, it's about waiting for the times, results of the second heat to see who advances to the final. This is the women's 400-meter freestyle S13, second heat. The swimmers in respective races and classifications. This second heat of 2 in the 400 freestyle S13 sees 7 swimmers. Hermes, Kane, Dedekind, Myers, Edo Beltran, Gomez, Bate and Hoffman going head to head, but focus very much on Rebecca Myers. She won gold in the 100 fly. She gave the United States their first Paralympic gold medal in the pool in 2016. She is the world record holder, a 4:21.66. Does not have the Paralympic record, but that is something she will expect to change, if not in the preliminaries, certainly in the finals. Dedekind of Australia will go alongside Rebecca Myers. Very quickly off the starting blocks for Edo Beltran of Spain, and Dedekind alongside Myers also a little sharper off the starters blocks, just exploding off the gun though, the Spaniard in 5. But Myers, when she gets into her stroke, is showing some class, while Abby Kane of Great Britain, only 13 years old, the second youngest Great British Paralympian after Joanne Round, who competed back in the Seoul Games of '88 when she was just 12 years old. At 13, Abby Kane going very strong in lane 2 and touches second behind Rebecca Myers, the world record holder from the United States of America. Can Kane hold on for the remaining 7 lengths of this Olympic-sized pool? The 400 freestyle S13 underway, and after the turn, it is Myers who's just pulling away here. Already has won 2 gold medals at Rio 2016, the 200 individual medley SM13 and the 100 fly gold. The 2-time reigning world champion, the world record holder. Well, when your personal best is a world record, you must have a fair amount of confidence going into a race, but she hasn't been swimming this event quite as often perhaps as she would have liked, but she'll have a great deal of confidence knowing that it was only a year ago that she posted the world record 4:21.66.
She knows she can do it, she knows she's capable of it, but the Paralympic Games, of course, are a different beast in that it's a very packed program for her here. As you say, as we look to the 150-metre mark, a quicker heat this time round, 1:38.99 as she touches in the wall, a full 5 seconds quicker than Edo Beltran, who's touched in second, and 1:45.23 for Abby Kane from Great Britain, who's swimming in lane 2 and is having a good swim so far, a solid effort. So swimmers at the moment in positions 2, 3 and 4 fighting for a berth in the final, which is in the second session on day 5. But for now, it's all about Myers looking very comfortable. It does look like she took it out a little harder than in heat 1, touching in at the 200-metre mark at 2:13.28, easily in first position. But the Spanish swimmer Edo Beltran having a nice day out here. Still 7 seconds off the pace of Myers.
So Rebecca Myers is showing her class in the pool in this morning heat. The preliminaries, Edo Beltran of Spain, only lying second overall. Katja Dedekind and Abby Kane are battling for third fastest in this race, with Gomez Bate of Spain going in 6th. Katja Derkent, only 15 years old, but a veteran when compared to 13-year-old Abby Kane, who incidentally only started swimming after a family holiday to Australia. She wanted to play at the water park but wasn't allowed to because she couldn't swim. Now she is swimming as a Paralympian at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, and the second youngest Great British Paralympian of all time. That's a remarkable story for 13-year-old Abby Kane. Derkent is just tailing off now as Kane is taking the race to her. Right now it's all about the stars and stripes because Rebecca Myers continues to just show her class. And she is significantly ahead. She's nearly 25 meters ahead of Eda Beltran of Spain. And basically Myers is touching at the wall when the remainder of the field are getting to the halfway mark in the pool. And that's the commanding lead that she has coming into the final 50. She is so far ahead, Rebecca Myers. But Abby Kane is showing some strength. Katja Derkent is fighting back. Eda Beltran is holding on to second overall. And a turn from Gomez Bate as well might touch third quickest. It's not going to be anywhere close to her personal best or world record time, but it is a very comfortable swim from Rebecca Myers. Anything under 4:31 will see her in the fourth lane, and indeed she goes sub 4:30 at 4:29.97. And she is certainly living up to her billing as favourites. The world record holder will go in lane 4 for the final of the women's 400 freestyle. It's Eda Beltran who comes home second, and a fight back from 15-year-old Durban-born in South Africa Australian swimmer Katja Derkent. I think she's going to take third overall. She does indeed. So Derkent in this second heat of 2 touches third fastest behind Myers and Eda Beltran, just touching out Abby Kane, and a strong finish from Derkent and Kane, who were swimming off the energy of one another perhaps. Saw them battle to overtake Gomez Bate of Spain in the closing stages. While swimming in lane 1, 15-year-old McLean Hermes of the United States, an S12 swimmer, touches, but it's her compatriot Rebecca Myers living up to her billing as favourite. Qualifies fastest from the preliminaries for the final of the women's 400 metre freestyle S13. Eda Beltran of Spain, still a teenager at 18, and 15-year-old Katja Derkent touches third fastest. But a quality stroke in the water for Rebecca Myers. Didn't need very long to find a rhythm, get into her stroke, but when she did, she showed a commanding presence in the pool and qualified quickest. Knew the time posted by Stutsenko in the opening heat was a 4:31. She wanted to go sub 4:30, qualified quickest. Indeed, she posted a 4:29.97. Eda Beltran of Spain. So the swimmers who qualified quickest and advanced to the final. Rebecca Myers ahead of Anna Stutsenko. What a battle in prospect there. Schnittke, Berre, Eda Beltran, Derkent, Kane also qualifying. Now to the opposite side of the pool for some sprints.
So the men's 150 metres individual medley, so the butterfly is dropped for the SM4 class, and quick run through the lanes there. We've got 6 swimmers in heat 1. Deravinsky in 2, Morelli in 3, Suzuki in 4, Larsen from Denmark in 4, Suzuki in 5 from Japan, and Sanchez Martinez from Mexico in 6. Cameron Leslie from New Zealand, the world record holder in this event, will be swimming in heat 2. So Larsen, the one to watch, the 24-year-old in heat 4. The quickest qualifying time for this by far, and is off to a great start there. easing into the backstroke, and as we've just seen, the 400 metres is much more a strength endurance race, a speed endurance race. Well, this is more of a sprint, the 150 metres medley. Larson was 6th in London with 2:46.15, so he's been a big improver, particularly this year, but spent most of last year, unfortunately, out of action with glandular fever, battling with illness. As we come into the first 50 metres, he's extending his lead. Down the bottom of your screen in lane 6 is Sanchez Martinez. He's going to touch in second after 50 metres from Mexico. But Larson here moving into the breaststroke. Suzuki was the gold medalist in Beijing with the 50-metre breast, so expect a good breaststroke leg from him. He's in lane 5. Larson holding the lead for now, but there's a challenge coming from the Mexican athlete down the bottom of your screen, Sanchez Martinez.
Well, Larson is the quality act overall and has been posting impressive times, but Morelli and Suzuki are strong breaststrokers, and they are making up some ground, and indeed Sanchez Martinez of Mexico is showing a real fight back here, but it is effectively 3 sprints. You got the backstroke sprint for 50 metres, then the breaststroke sprint, and then the freestyle. But so often we've seen in the medley races, it's the breaststroke that really decides the outcome of the race. It is such a technical stroke to perform, but just holding on by a slight margin here over the very experienced Morelli of Italy. The 36-year-old Italian touches second quickest, and a great breaststroke leg from the Italian. We saw him fight back to put himself into contention, but once we hit the freestyle, it should be Larson, as you say, affected by glandular fever. In fact, finished outside the medals because he had only just recovered from glandular fever before the World Championships last year. But the man who won bronze at the 2013 World Championships is showing his class in the closing stages here. A strong finish from Larson of Denmark in 4.
Look, it is a strong finish from Larson, well outside the Paralympic record, but that doesn't matter at the moment. He's extended his lead, but Morelli, as you mentioned, had a great breaststroke leg as expected. But Larson's going to touch in first with 2:35.95, and Morelli will touch in second. Third will be the Japanese swimmer Suzuki. A good freestyle leg in the end, and fourth will be Sanchez Martinez, and he did have a good swim in the first 75 or so. The final swimmer to come in will be Derevinsky from Ukraine in lane 2.
Oh, the Danish support for Jonas Larson. Larson victorious in the men's 100-metre, 150-metre individual medley, SM4 first heats. Suzuki of Japan, strong breaststroke leg and only touched third quickest overall. It was Larson who led from the front, didn't concede that lead despite a real fight back from Morelli, who touched second after the breaststroke leg. But strong on the turns, and in the pool, got some speed. Took it to the wall, and Larson, top time so far, with 1 heat to come.
Well, he'll be very pleased with that swim as we look at the final results there. So he was 6 seconds ahead of Morelli in the end. Suzuki rounding out the top 3 places. We'll see where he finishes in the overall lineup for the finals qualifications as we look to heat 2, and the world record and Paralympic record holder Leslie Cameron will be swimming in lane 4. As the athletes make their way out to the pool, we'll have Ahmed Kelly from Australia in lane 2. Jan Povasil from Czech in lane 3. Leslie's in 4, as I mentioned. Jin Jipeng from China in 5. And Miguel Lig from Spain will swim in 6. So just the 5 athletes in heat 2. So Cameron Leslie, 26 years of age, won this event in London and Beijing. And she set the world record as a qualifying time this year in June. Kelly, the 24-year-old, didn't win a medal in London. Very well known to Australian viewers. Born in Iraq and moved to Australia. Povasil in lane 3 was bronze in Sydney. A bit of a veteran of the Games. Beijing and London in the freestyle events. Now 34 years of age as we prepare for this Heat 2 to begin. So it was a good start for the world record holder, Leslie. And looking comfortable early with about half body length advantage. We come up to the 25-metre mark. We know he enjoys the backstroke leg. In fact, he enjoys all legs, but this is almost an all-out sprint, of course, over the 150 metres medley. And Leslie looking strong early, opening up a gap at this early stage of the race over Povasil, who's in lane 3. And a bit of a challenge coming on from Jin Jiping in China as well to the minor placings. But it's Leslie all the way in the first 50 metres, and he's had a strong turn as we move into the backstroke.
Oh, it's a strong end to the opening 50 from Jin Jiping of China. Going in lane 5, but it is all about Cameron Leslie, the 26-year-old, as you say, two-time defending champion in this event. It is somebody who's an all-round athlete, really. He continues to impress for the Will Blacks, the wheelchair rugby team of New Zealand. And indeed, perhaps might have been competing in 2 sports had New Zealand qualified in the wheelchair rugby. But he is focused now firmly on the swimming and indeed his favourite events. And he is just pulling away in the breaststroke. He's quite happy with this. It's a great challenge that's being made by Jin Jiping, who's just edging up a little closer to Leslie at the moment. Luque of Spain looking good too. This is somebody who was a breaststroke champion as far back as Sydney in 2000, while Povasil, who looked good in the backstroke using the double arm motion rather than the one arm alternating. 5-time Paralympic bronze medalist is just dropping off a little in the breaststroke leg. But it is Jin Jiping, our People's Republic of China, who currently lies second behind the 2-time defending champion of New Zealand.
Well, Jin Jiping having a great swim here in the final 50 metres, and he's just giving Leslie a bit of a nudge at the halfway mark, saying, "Oi, I'm still in it too." So look at Leslie coming home. He's keeping it comfortable, keeping that tempo relatively slow. But it's the Chinese athlete Jin Jiping who is having a great swim in this final 50 metres. Leslie will touch home first, but Jin Jiping actually won't be that far off the pace.
For New Zealand, it's about the touch first for Leslie at 2:29.36. He'll qualify for the final very comfortably, but a strong finish from Jin Jiping.
And Povasil in lane 3 will touch in third, only slightly ahead of Luke from Spain.
Ahmed Kelly, freestyle stroke. You can use any stroke. It's generally preferred crawl for many swimmers, but Ahmed Kelly with his butterfly stroke to finish will touch 5th, 3:07.81.
So the early mark there from Cameron Leslie. Crowd continuing to build here at the Olympic Aquatic Stadium. So Cameron Leslie in 2:29.36. Still 4 seconds off his Paralympic record set back in London 4 years ago, and well off the qualifying time he set in Berlin earlier this year, but still a very comfortable swim.
Well, off the wall, it was Cameron Leslie who looked very strong, but alongside him as well, Jin Jiping with a solid start. push off the wall, but couldn't quite maintain that pace. Leslie built a lead through the backstroke leg, which he did not relinquish. But a reminder, of course, from Jin Jipeng that he is set to be a contender with the way he swam the breaststroke leg. It's only the back end of the 50 breaststroke, the last 20 or 25 meters, that he really pushed up on Kelly and made an advantage. Ultimately, though, a strong closing finish in the 50 free touches second.
So if we look to the final there, so Jin Jipeng managed to qualify second fastest, and he'd be fancying his chances for a medal later on day 5 at the swimming as we move on to the women's 150 metres individual medley. And we've got Gabardolina in lane 2. Of course, already the 50-year-old has won a gold here in Rio. In lane 3, we'll have Hamer from Poland, Svidurska from Ukraine in 4, Cheng Jiao from China in 5, Wei in 6, and Watson in 7. And Svidurska in 4 is the world record holder in her classification. The SM3, so we have SM3 and SM4 swimmers competing together. In this event, it's listed as an SM4. And Paralympic record holder Wei as well in 6. So 6 swimmers for Heat 1 of the women's 150 metres individual medley, SM4.
Take your marks.
So we start with the backstroke, and it's a good start in lane 2 for Hamer from Poland. From Gabardolina, rather, from Kazakhstan. But at the moment, all about lane 5, Cheng Jiao. It's off to a great start with the backstroke leg.
Well, Cheng Jiao certainly is chewing up the water very quickly here. She is going at a frantic pace in this opening 50 backstroke. So in the 150 individual medley SM4, 3 lengths of the Olympic pool, with competitors starting with the back, then the breaststroke, then the freestyle. There's no butterfly in the 150 individual medley for SM4, but it is a surprisingly quick pace for Cheng Jiao of People's Republic of China. Gabardolina started very well. Gold in the 100 free for the 50-year-old from Kazakhstan, but she's just tailed off ever so slightly. Coming into her own, Olga Svidurska, the Ukrainian who is the world record holder for the SM3 classification, 2013 world champion. Already a handful of medals in this championship at Rio 2016. Bronze in both the 4x50 mixed relays and the 100 free, a race that Gabardolina went on to win. But right now in the breaststroke, it is Svidurska who is making up a little bit of ground, and Hammer of Poland, going in lane 3, is sitting in a very comfortable 3rd position to qualify 3rd fastest. But by the time she reaches the turn at the 100-meter mark here, Cheng Jiao of People's Republic of China in a very comfortable, strong, commanding lead, and set to go well below her personal best in her qualifying time.
Yes, she's looking very strong, and this is her first of 4 events here at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. 22 years of age and a commanding lead, and she's finishing strongly with the freestyle, although it does seem that the backstroke certainly was her preferred stroke. That first 50 was just so explosive. in that first section of the race. She had a great breaststroke technique as well, obviously held her line there, but this is a good swim from Cheng Jiao, really making a statement about this event, and Swiderska will touch in second here, but Cheng Jiao, well, look at this. She's going to come close, very close to the record, but well, that caught me by surprise, I must say. What a fantastic swim by Cheng Jiao. And I think it's caught the crowd a little by surprise here too. She looked comfortable, she looked fantastic. So Cheng Jiao setting a world record in the first heat of the women's 150 metres individual medley and breaking the world record decisively in the end. So that is the SM4. And the woman in the lane next to her, Swiderska, who touched in second. She's an SM3 swimmer classification. So as we round out the field here, it's also been a world record for the SM3 classification for Swiderska as well in 2:58.72, and Cheng Jiao in 2:47.57, a world record for the SM4, and it's going to make for a very interesting final indeed to see how much she has left in the tank after, well, that first 50 was just extraordinary. As we look back there, the tempo of the backstroke was well in front of everyone else by, well, the first 50. She'd really extended that lead and then just consolidated that.
Well, that's what it was, though. She really took it out hard on the backstroke, and the lead, that accomplished lead that she had developed after the opening 50 was so impressive, but very strong off the wall at the start. Frantic, and she got into a pace and rhythm very quickly.
So there you have it, 2 world records broken, of course, in the different classifications, SM4 and SM3, and Carolina Hamer finishing third with 3:21.56 in Heat 1 as we move to Heat 2. And got a lineup of Cunnington from Canada, Miranda Herrera from Mexico will be in lane 3, so 6 swimmers in total. Maria Lefina from Ukraine in 4. Ariola Trimi from Italy in 5, Deng Yue from China in 6, and Rildine Firmino from Brazil. Expect a big cheer here. She will be in lane 7. Lefina, of course, silver at the Worlds last year in this event. She's got 4 events across this program, the 23-year-old, and Herrera in lane 3. 2 golds in Beijing in the freestyle. Expect her to be very strong in that leg. And Cunnington in 2, she'll be at the top of your screen, a 40-year-old who switched from para-triathlon to swimming in 2014, so her first Paralympic Games as a swimmer. Trimi in 5 was 4th at the Worlds this year, and last year rather, and Deng Yue is just 15 years of age. Firmino getting the huge cheer there from the home crowd. They love to see their athletes performing, and 41 years of age. She was 6th in Beijing, 9th in Athens, so a veteran. So the new world record of 2:47.57, the benchmark set for the final. Fastest 8 going through of the 2 heats. So off to a good start. The crowd loves to have a home swimmer to support, and the Aquatic Centre erupting with hope that their Brazilian swimmer can do well. But at the early stage, it's all to lane 6, the Chinese swimmer, another swimmer from China, Deng Yue, the 15-year-old, her first outing at these games, the first of 4 events. And over in lane 4, we have Lefina from Ukraine, also performing well. In fact, it'll be a bit of a a touch in it after the first 50 metres, a slower tempo we're seeing in this heat with the 50 metres backstroke. But I think it will be the Chinese swimmer who'll touch in first in 6, Deng Yue, the 15-year-old. Not by much though.
Well, Lafina looking very strong, just ahead of Deng, but again, what will happen in the breaststroke, and Deng perhaps the stronger of the two. Deng a shorter, choppier stroke, just breathing on every second stroke, a little smoother, a little calmer from Lafina, going in lane 4, but coming back, Ariola Trimi of Italy. At her first Paralympic Games, the 29-year-old is showing a little fight back in this breaststroke as well.
Yes, she is indeed, but it's now Lafina who's got the edge over Deng Yue. And Trimi is having a great breaststroke leg, and Miranda Herrera going well as well. And at the bottom of your screen, you'll see Ronaldo Firmino.
Well, this is turning out to be a very strong breaststroke leg for Lafina. It's well outside the world record split, so no heroics in terms of world records in the second of the heats of the women's 150 individual medley SM4, but Lafina on the turn is really just turning it on now and leaving Deng behind.
Oh, she is. She's extending that lead over Deng. There wasn't much in it at the 100 and 150 metre turn, but Lafina she'll be well off world record pace, but that's okay. It's going to be enough to get her into the final. Beautiful, smooth, long stroke. Cruising, really. So she'll touch in first. Around about 5 seconds, 6 seconds slower than the heat previously, but an easy margin in the end. It'll be the Chinese athlete touching in second, and Trimi, who had a really nice swim, particularly that breaststroke leg. She made up a lot of ground, and she would have enjoyed that swim. So
looking for the finish, the Brazilian Wildine Firmino. The 41-year-old, a long-time parasport competitor, is coming home in lane 7. In the top lane, Tammy Cunnington of Canada will be next to touch.
So the Canadian Tammy Cunnington, as we mentioned, who'd switched from para triathlon, is now in the pool. She's touched in as the final competitor in that heat. Trimi there, she'll be very pleased with that performance. It was a great breaststroke leg. 4th at Worlds, 29 years of age. So we didn't see the tempo go out as hard in the backstroke, but it was just a really strong, consistent performance from the leaders. In the end, it was the breaststroke that made the difference, of course.
Very smooth from Lafina. She's quick, she's very quick, and she knows that she is among the favourites for the gold. Didn't quite post Sviderska's time in the heats, but she advances to the final, and as a result is in with a shout. So Lafina ahead of Deng, ahead of Trimi. Miranda Herrera will have to wait for the times, but a 2:09 should see her comfortably into the final 8.
Yes, it does. So no surprises there. Cheng Jiao at the top, Lafina qualifying second fastest, and Deng Yue the third fastest. So rounding out those top 3, they'll swim in the inside lanes.
So this is the men's 50-meter freestyle S11, the first heat of 2 sprint events. Well, the man in screen defending champion, the world record holder, the Paralympic record holder, and one of the most decorated Paralympians from China. The lineup: McClure, Makovsky, Souza, Yang, Herbst, Moschenko, Smirtsa and Kovalyov. But Yang Bozun from Tianjin, four-time Paralympic champion. He'll go in lane 4. Alongside him from South Africa, Henry Herbst, the 24-year-old who was the 100 free bronze medalist in London. And then the 52-year-old Smirtsa of Czech Republic, who was in your screen a moment ago, goes in lane 7. But Souza of Brazil will have the crowd behind him, swimming alongside the defending champion and world record holder Yang Bozun. McClure, Makovsky, Souza, Yang, Herbst, Moschenko, Smirtsa and Kovalyov. Now, S11 classification for swimmers with visual impairment and the most severe visual impairment. Even the swimmers who aren't completely blind need to swim with blackened goggles. No swimmer sighted in the pool. Very strong from Yang Bozun, a good underwater from Herbst of South Africa as well. Moschenko looking good in lane 6, going in lane 1. McClure showed promise but has fallen off the pace. It's all about Yang Bozun, the defending champion. The 30-year-old is taking it to his opponents here. It's Herbst of South Africa who's looking good for a second place touch. The 26-second swimmer over this distance at the national trials in South Africa. But it is Yang who's going to touch ahead of Herbst. Yang goes to the wall in a 26.36. Herbst touches second. Moschenko of Ukraine touches third quickest. And a real sprint to the wall from the center lanes. 26.36 from Yang Bozun. Henry Herbst 26.95. The two swimmers to go under 27 seconds. While Moschenko 27.28 finishes third. That's Herbst of South Africa, and there is Moschenko of Ukraine. But the focus on the defending champion, multiple Paralympic champion. What a swim.
Well, the 50 free, always such an exciting event. The crowd really getting involved and knowing they've seen a quality performance there from Yang Bozun. Swimming close, almost swum across the lane rope. Very close to the right-hand side. So just over a second outside his best, but he's done what he needed to do.
All the swimmers will have their goggles checked to see if they are indeed blackened. Just behind Herbst, the South African coaches led the South African coaching staff, led by Theo Verster. So confirmation of the results. Bozun, Yang Bozun ahead of Herbst. Moschenko touches third fastest. Souza has a wait to see if he advances to the final. Seems to be somewhat of an issue. All swimmers must swim with blackened goggles, and the inspection here looks like it might be a bit of an issue. The Moldovan swimmer in lane 8, Kovalyov, Alexander Kovalyov. I wonder if there is an issue. Well, it looks like that Kovalyov has been disqualified officially. So a transgression from Kovalyov, who was not in the reckoning in the top, but has officially been disqualified. So a slight hold-up. So Yang Bozun, Herbst, Moschenko, Smirtsa, Souza, Makovsky, McClure, and a disqualification for Kovalyov. Second heat of the men's 50 freestyle S11. We'll see Bradley Snyder, already a gold medalist at Rio 2016, going in lane 4. Keiichi Kimura of Japan in 5. So Kimura getting off to a splendid start. Snyder just a little to the left and needing to correct his stroke in the center lane. Finds his way, going straight down the middle. And it is Snyder who leads, not by much though. In the whitewash, a real sprint on here for Kimura, who's just hugging the lane rope on the right. And again, Snyder correcting his stroke, but he's substantially quicker and nearly a full body length ahead of any other swimmer in the pool as he gets to the wall first. It is Snyder ahead of Kimura with Tsutilao of Belarus, who touches third fastest overall. A 27.62 for Smirnov of the Ukraine, who touches in lane 2. But Bradley Snyder showing some real pace, just outside breaking the 26-second barrier, 26.06, and Kimura only just sneaking inside 27-second mark, a 26.99 for the Japanese swimmer. Third fastest, Tsutilao of Belarus, 27.11. Not far off the time of Kimura of Japan. A couple of times that Snyder had to correct his swim. First going into the left side of the lane rope and then into the right side. If he can produce a slightly straighter swim in the final, that gold medal is going to be very tough to take away from him, although he will always have the likes of Yang Bozun to contend with for the gold medal. Kimura of Japan also a strong swim from the Japanese, while Tsutilao of Belarus and Viktor Smirnov decently quick times as well. Goggles are being checked. It's confirmation of the results then. So both the top two swimmers going under 27 seconds. Snyder just outside 26.06. Almost a second ahead of Kimura. So advancing to the final. Smirnova finished 4th in that second heat, sneaks in. It is Snyder, Yang, Herbst, Kimura will be battling for the 3 medals on offer. Snyder, victorious in the second heat, will face the world's media now. This is the heat, first heat of 3 in the women's 50-meter freestyle S11. Five swimmers that go in this opening heat. Ono, Martinez, Lee, Pidubna, Ikinaga of Japan. World record currently held by the Dutch teenager Lisette Breinsma. Cecilia Camalini, champion of 2012, holds the Paralympic record. Li Guixi of People's Republic of China goes in lane 4. The only 31-second swimmer in this field. Sluggish reaction time though off the blocks. It's Leticia Martinez of the United States with a quicker start, and indeed straight into her stroke is looking very good going in lane 3. Marina Podubna of the Ukraine, the 18-year-old, looking strong in lane 5. But Li Guixi gets into her stroke now, and Martinez just zigzagging a little in the lane ropes and is now hugging the left-hand lane, has dropped off the pace. But it's the class of Li Guixi who just breaks through the center, and she is going to show that she's got the speed in the water. Didn't matter about the sluggish start. Touches first ahead of Pidubna in Paralympic record time, and Martinez touches third quickest overall. So immediately quicker than the winning time in London 4 years ago. Li Guixi, 30.89. She's been swimming 31 seconds, just over 31 seconds. And a Paralympic record in the opening heat, a really grand sign for what's to come. And sets up a good final in prospect.
Well, she managed to set that Paralympic record despite not getting the greatest start of that 50 metres, and obviously with that all-out sprint so crucial to get off the blocks. So it may actually mean she has the capacity to go even quicker than that. last 15 performed exceptionally to touch in that record time. So we thought we might see a few records fall in the early session of day 5 at the pool, and we've seen 2 fall so far.
Lee Guizi, Paralympic record, and wins this first heat of 3 fairly comfortably in the women's 50-meter freestyle. Lee Guizi, Paralympic record time, silver medalist 4 years ago. And Podobna and Martinez finishing 2nd and 3rd. The Japanese swimmers Ikinaga and Ono 4th and 5th. Second heat of 3 in the women's 50 freestyle S11. 6 swimmers go in this second heat. Baez of Argentina, Nunes Silva of Brazil, Sweden's Maya Reichardt, Cecilia Camalini, the defending champion, Tsai Li Wen of People's Republic of China goes in 6, and in 7, Martina Rabolini goes in 7. So 2 Italian prospects for medals here, but certainly Camalini decorated already and much favoured to challenge for gold once again at Rio 2016. This is Martina Rabolini, Camalini's teammate, both coached by the Italian coach Tosin, Massimiliano Tosin, long-time servant to para-swimming. Maya Reichardt of Sweden goes in lane 4 though. Maya Reichardt, bronze in the 100 backstroke, but Reichardt is a success story, and there's a reason that she carried the Swedish flag into the opening ceremony of the Paralympic Games. She's a Paralympic and World Women's 100 breaststroke champion. She's a decent sprinter. Slow off the starting blocks for Reichardt, but she's quick underwater and eventually breaks water, and looks like she is leading at the moment. So Maya Reichardt of Sweden, the 25-year-old, is going along very strongly. Camalini looked good off the starter's blocks, but has lost a little time in the water here and being pressured on her outside by Tsai Li Wen. Nunes Silva of Brazil is getting cheered on by the crowd, but it is Maya Reichardt of Sweden who's going to take it to the wall first. The 25-year-old is going to touch. A strong fight back here from Camalini, but Reichardt is still going to touch first, ahead of Camalini with a strong fight back. And Tsai Li Wen of People's Republic of China, who looked to pressure Camalini in the opening stages of this women's 50 free S11, has touched 3rd quickest. Maya Reichardt of Sweden touches quickest, 31.05 seconds, just over the 31-second mark. She's capable of going below that. For Camalini, 31.52 seconds. She's another sub 31-second swimmer over this distance in this classification.
So nice start up the blocks there. It's a little behind Tsai Li Wen from China, but powered through the second 25 metres. Camalini. And as you say, we know she can go quicker, so be a good final to watch. Quick check from the technical officials. Make sure those goggles are the standard.
Well, Maya Reichardt, she was absolutely delighted with her bronze medal in the 100 back. It wasn't one of her favourite events, so breaststroke and freestyle are her stronger events, particularly the breaststroke. So she'll feel she's in good form at the moment. Camalini, the defending champion, will go and check this race out afterwards, see where she can pick up some time. Reichardt, Camalini, Tsai ahead of Nunes Silva. We'll have an anxious wait to see if she qualifies for the final based on time. The 3rd heat of the women's 50 freestyle S11. There are a couple of favourites, not only for medals, but indeed for the gold medal, who go in this race. And the focus will be on Lisette Bruinsma, who goes in lane 4. Bruinsma of the Netherlands, 16-year-old, gold in the 400 free. But she's got the speed of a sprinter as well in the pool. Mary Fisher, already a gold medalist at Rio 2016, having claimed the gold in her favourite event, the 100 backstroke. But Egil, Scheer, Bruinsma, Fisher, Tkachuk and Yakibyuk of Ukraine, the 2 Ukrainian swimmers in lanes 6 and 7. 6 swimmers in the pool, and Bruinsma with a smile. Always fresh-faced and bubbly. Brings a great cheer to the arena. Lives and trains in Heerenveen. That's the Dutch swimmer. Xie Qing just being helped to find the starter's blocks. Heading to the starter's blocks on the opposite side, under starter's orders now. Quickly away in lanes 4 and 5 alongside one another, Bruinsma and Fisher of Netherlands and New Zealand. It's the New Zealander Fisher who is leading, but expect the fight back from Bruinsma. Bruinsma probably quicker in the water, over 50 free, and Bruinsma has got a little bit of a battle on her hands here. It's not world record pace, it's not overly lightning, but Bruinsma is losing her way entirely here, and Mary Fisher drifting to the right has gained an advantage as a result, and it looks like the New Zealander is going to qualify quickest here, but nearly in a line. Fisher touches ahead of Bruinsma, with Scheer of China not very far behind at all. 1, 2 and 3, all dipping under 32 seconds. But Bruinsma suddenly lost her way midway through the race and veered off to the left quite sharply into the lane rope and completely lost momentum when she was just starting to edge ahead of Fisher. But Fisher touches fastest, 31.35. Bruinsma second quickest, and Xie Qing of People's Republic of China going under 32 seconds as well. There is Xie Qing. Now it looks like Bruinsma is coming out of the pool without goggles. Wonder if her goggles, oh, they broke. You can see they're hanging off the right side. They're tucked under the cap.
So that may have contributed to her sharp deviation,
that I
of
imagine,
course.
yeah, is
in that
why
last 15 metres, she was swimming in the far right of the lane and then went straight across to the left, while the New Zealander was able to maintain her line. You can see it there.
Well, she's just, I fear, Bruinsma completely lost her way with that. Well, there they are, hanging from the side of her head, but it looks like she only actually had the trouble with the goggles in the closing few strokes. Lisette Bruinsma, who finishes second, who was born with a congenital visual impairment. Bruinsma finishes second behind New Zealand's Fisher. The Guishi, quickest in Paralympic record time. Reichardt, Fisher, Pedumna, Kamalini, Bruinsma. Now, it looks like we're going to have a swim-off at the end of this session. Tsai Li Wen posted the joint 8th fastest qualifying time.
So we move on to the men's 100 metres Butterfly S10. Andre Brazil, the world record and Paralympic record holder, will be swimming in lane 4 as the athletes line up. Pendleton in 2, Stain in 3, Brazil in 4, as I mentioned, Levesque from Spain in 5, Anderson 6 from Denmark, and Niren from Sweden in 7. So that world record, 55.99, set back in 2010, so it's stood for a while now. Let's see what sort of form Brazil's in. Well, it was a good start in lane 6, and the Butterfly's away. So it's Brazil in 4, and the crowd absolutely loves him. They've come alive for this heat, the first heat at the men's 100 metres Butterfly. 2 heats, the fastest 8 in total, and it's Brazil with a narrow margin over the Canadians. Stein at this stage. Let's see how they touch in.
Well,
but Brazil has the narrow lead, but only by 100th of a second.
Much depends on the turn. He's got a great underwater and streamline, does Andre Brazil, and that sometimes gives him an advantage, but can he hold it in the stroke? That really is the question. He looks to be leading at the moment, but he's not leading by a very confident margin as well. Levesque and Stein both within striking distance, Levesque in particular, but it looks like Brazil has got the rhythm to hold on.
It does look like Brazil's going to hold on there, but it's a huge challenge from Levesque and Stein in the lane to either side of him, but it's going to be Brazil. He's going to be just off his time, but he's done well, and the crowd goes wild. They love it, and they love him here at the Aquatic Centre.
Andre Brazil in this men's 100 fly S10 winner, but not by a comfortable margin over Levesque and Stein.
So he's well off his best, Andre Brazil, and he was pushed, it's fair to say, by both the Spaniard and the Canadian on either side.
Well, he's very strong at the turns, is Andre Brazil, and I think that's one of the areas where he impressed. It was very tight going into the turn, but again, using that underwater, using that streamline as he exited the wall, just gained a little advantage and brought it home confidently in the stroke. He chose to glide to the wall rather than take it in for an extra half stroke or shorten the stroke. But he knew at that stage, he could see swimmers on either side of him, that he was well ahead and had the ability to just glide in.
Yeah, strong performances from Stein and Levesque. Just giving the world record holder a push there. And they're the confirmation of the final standings. So it's Brazil, Levesque, Stein, Anderson, Pendleton and Nuran. Will wait and see how quick this second heat is. Of course, the 8th fastest going through to the final. So in heat 2 we have Menciotti from Italy, Elliott, Canada, Dubrov from Ukraine, Kripak, Ukraine as well. He was swimming in 8 events in Rio, a packed program. Asim and Herendeen from the United States rounding out the field. He's in lane 7. Well, it was a quick start in lane 4 from Dubrov, and he's got the early advantage, but close on his shoulder is his compatriot, his teammate Kripak. And just a narrow margin at the moment as they head into the first turn.
Well, it is very strong from Dubrov and Kripak, who until a handful of years ago were swimming for Olympic reckoning for Ukraine. Both Dubrov and Kripak already very decorated at these games. Ahmed Asim of South Africa, the victim of a shark attack when he was training to be a lifesaver, goes in lane 6. He's a bronze medalist from 2012, but didn't get off to a fantastic start. While in lanes 2 and 3, Menciotti and Elliott, but Dubrov and Kripak are even challenging world record time here. The two look alongside of one another. It's Dubrov just ahead of Kripak.
It is Dubrov, and he's going to touch in first, and it's going to be ahead of world record. Well, what a statement in the early session of Dubrov. The 27-year-old already has a swag of medals here at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. He's the world champion. 55.29. Well, nothing short of a commanding performance. He was really pushed by his teammate too. I think he almost wheeled him onto that finish line and ended up setting a very high bar indeed going into the final. Touching in there, he was only fractionally ahead, and that final 50 really wasn't his until the last 15 metres or so. Interesting to see the time his teammate Kripak set as well. 55.54, so that was also under the world record as well. Very quick heat indeed. And Elliott the next closest to the top two in 59.13. So confirmation of those results of heat 2. So going into the final, of course, it will be Dubrov, the new world record holder, swimming in lane 4, next to Krypak, Brazil, third quickest. So he'll be relying on the home crowd tonight to bring out his best performance as we move on to the women's 100 metres Butterfly S10. We have Zedeveld from the Netherlands in 2, Rivard from Canada in 3. Let's get you further confirmation of the start list there.
Just seems Aurelie Rivard has withdrawn from the race. This is not one of her favourite events, certainly. So Rivard has withdrawn. Zedeveld, Tai, Jablonska, Leonhardt and Ike will race.
So the one to watch, Tai in 4 and Jablonska in 5. Very close with the qualification times they posted, but it was the athlete Iki from Japan who got away with the best start there. The Australian in lane 6, swimming well as well, but the early advantage at the top of your screen at Zildeveld, who's swimming very well. The first 50 has been very quick for her. And it's pretty even coming into the first turn. Jablonska will touch first, but only marginally by 0.18 and 0.2 ahead of the Australian as they bring it home in the final 50 metres.
Well, this is looking good for Leonhardt at the moment. It was Zeke who started strongest, but Jablonska and Leonhardt are both well ahead of Alice Tai, who had posted a 1:07 coming into this event. Well, this is the time that is going to be well shy of that, and disappointingly for Alice Tai is nowhere near that time. But it is going to be Australia and Poland 1-2.
So the Australian, I suspect, will touch in, almost look like a jet heat. No, it's Jablonska. Jablonska's got in, but not by much. It was the slimmest of margins. Leonhardt will touch in second. And Zildeveld from the Netherlands will be a little disappointed. So Jablonska, the 19-year-old, won silver in this event in London. And the Australian there, Leonhardt, just 15 years of age, will be very happy with that heat swim. She'll gain a lot of confidence from that.
Well, it was strong from Ike of Japan in lane 7. Not off splendidly, but was unable to hold it in the water. Alice Tai never quite got into the race. Leonhardt and Jablonska took it to her. And at the end, it would be the Australian and the Polish swimmer going stroke for stroke. Just a little hurried from the Polish swimmer, and she gets the stroke in on time and out-touches Leonhardt at the wall. Tai only good enough to finish 4th with that race. Zedeveld of Netherlands touching 3rd quickest.
So confirmation there of those results. So Jablonska, Leonhardt, Zildeveld, Alice Tai from Great Britain 4th. She'll have a nervous wait to see if that's enough to make the final, with still one heat to come. It's 6 swimmers in heat 2. So staying with the S10 category, heat 2, and Bianca Pup from Hungary will swim in lane 2, Hernandez Santos from Spain in 3, Pascoe from New Zealand in 4. She's the world record and Paralympic record holder. Chen Yi from China in 5. Samantha Ryan in 6, and Lina Watts from Sweden in 7th. Pascoe set the world record when she qualified in Auckland in March, so in paper she's in a league of her own. She's posted far quicker qualifying time than the other swimmers in her heat. Chen Yi from China, already a gold and a bronze in Rio, performing extremely well at these games. So it was a clean start there, and Chen Yi actually had the best of it, and she's got the early advantage, although it is Hernandez Santos who's putting in an early challenge. But look at this, Sophie Pascoe, sluggish start. She's now building through this second 25 of the first 50. She'll easily touch in at the wall first, the first turn. Sophie Pascoe, a class act. And
well, she's in a class of her own, certainly. While Rivar challenged Sophie Pascoe in the first of her races, Sophie Pascoe won back the title she had lost in London 4 years ago, the 100 back, and then she went on to win the medley title. And of course, this is one of the 3 titles she won in London 4 years ago. So is looking to defend that title successfully, and laying down a good marker in the heats is Sophie Pascoe. You could really say that she is in a league of her own when it comes to this race, the world record holder, and indeed the defending champion. She'll go outside her best here, but it's a relatively quick time.
Paralympic record time, she's swum extremely well, and so outside her best, yet she can still set a Paralympic record, just showing why she is such a high-level athlete. The Chinese athlete Chen Yi, the 15-year-old, touching in second. So a very appreciative crowd here. Another record set this morning, the 3rd of the session. And Sophie Pascoe will have to be feeling very confident about her prospects in the final later on day 5. And she just looked so comfortable throughout that race, came into the wall with spectacular style. Fluid turn, easy kick away. And looked like she was absolutely cruising, and yet it was still a Paralympic record. And Chen Yi touching in second from China, so the 15-year-old having a fantastic game so far. She'd fancy her chances for a medal. So that's the final results of Heat 2. And if we look to the qualifications, no surprises there, with Sophie Pascoe being on the inside lane, Chen Yi. And it's Spain, Canada, Jablonska 5th fastest, Leonhardt, then the Netherlands and Great Britain rounding out that final.
This is the first heat of 3 in the men's 100 Freestyle S9. One of the 2 refugee athletes participating under the Paralympic banner. Ibrahim Al-Hussein goes in lane 1. And Mozilla will be one to watch for the home favourites. He goes in lane 7. Al-Hussein, the Syrian-born leg amputee, going in lane 1, but Brendan Hall of Australia will go in lane 4. He'll be favourite. David Grachat, bronze medalist of the 400 free, and Filho of Brazil also going in 5. Hodge of Australia in 2. Ryan Crouch of Great Britain in 6. Very quick off the start is blocks for Vanil Tenfilho of Brazil in 5. But Brendan Hall, once he gets into his stroke, should be the strongest of the swimmers in the pool, but he's having a real battle with Grachat, who's just looking to push him on his right shoulder, but it is Filio, inspired perhaps by the crowd, holding on, and indeed Ryan Crouch of Great Britain looking good with a red swimming cap going in lane 6 as they come up to the first 50.
Yes, the Australian touching in first, and the crowd really getting behind this showcase event. They love the 100 metres, and it's the Australian with the early advantage, but he is being pushed all the way.
Well, Hall is leading at the moment, only just over Filio, and Graxat showing some real fight back for Portugal here. It looks like Graxat might just touch second ahead of the Brazilian, but it is Brendan Hall of Australia who is going to bring it home first, half a body length ahead of Portugal's Graxat. Fading at the finish, Filio only just manages to touch ahead of Great Britain's Ryan Crouch. So Australia smiles all round. There's Graxat of Portugal, who touched second fastest. A big thumbs up. Prefers the longer distances, this Graxat, but he'll be happy to be a contender in the 100 free. But Brendan Hall took this out strongly, very sluggish off the starting blocks again, but exploding off the blocks was Vanilton Filio, and that in the end was decisive in him touching third.
Yeah, had a beautiful turn off the wall. There was quite a jostling of positions for third through to sixth in that heat, so it'll be interesting to see what the final lineup is with times, because there wouldn't have been much in it, and when we compare those times with the remainder of the heats, we'll get a better sense of who'll make it through. But Brendan Hall, commanding swim there.
So confirmation, Hall ahead of Graxat, with Filio touching third, fastest Brazilo, only fourth in the Syrian-born leg amputee, part of the refugee team. Ibrahim Al-Hussein finished 7th. The men's 100-meter freestyle S9, second heat of 3. We'll see 7 swimmers go in lanes 1 to 7. Victor, Latinmaki, Toth, Morlaci, White, Silva and Tadic. Ilya Tadic of Montenegro, only 17 years old. Skirty Victor, the first Mauritian swimmer we'll see in the pool at Rio 2016. Leo Latinmaki of Finland goes in 2. Toth of Hungary in 3. He's in decent form at the moment. Morlaci, gold in the 200 IM and silver in the 400 free, goes in 4. White of Great Britain in 5. Silver of Brazil in 6. Again in lane 5, Lewis White of Great Britain storms off the starters blocks, but going in lanes 2 and 3, Latinmaki and Tamas Toth have both had good starts, and it's Toth who's taking it to his opponents in the opening 50, being left right behind is Federico Morlaci. He's got his work cut out for him now. Every other swimmer in the pool, bar Skirty Victor, is ahead of him. Well, it's Toth of Hungary who touches first.
Yes, Toth had a fantastic first 25 and then consolidated that through the second 25, touched in first, and look at this, he's building a lead. Here's Silva from Brazil lifting with the crowd, looks as though he's in second position in lane 6.
Well, this fight is coming from Brazil's Reuter, who is showing real back-end strength to challenge Toth of Hungary, and Toth is going to just touch at the wall. A very strong finish in the end from Morlaci. White is touched out into 4th overall, but Morlaci had so much work left to do. Tamas Toth, the Hungarian swimmer, showing real strength. Skirty Victor of Mauritius touches 7th. But Toth hit that opening 50 so hard, difficult to catch, and although he looked like he was waning at the end, an incredibly strong finish from Silva, who's just swum an America's record to get himself into that position, 2nd overall. That'll put him in a very good position to qualify for the final.
Yeah, we see there the first 50 was an easy touch in by Toth, but really the real story was that second 50 and the Brazilian athlete just having an incredible kick for that final 25 and really challenging. And he'll wait and see whether he's able to make it through. The crowd certainly hopes so. Fastest 8 going through to the final later on day 5.
Confirmation of the results. It's Tomasz Toth who touches ahead of Reuter Silva, fast closing, and Morlacci of Italy should make it through to another final with that time, 57.75, but it won't be a great lane draw indeed if he does advance. Men's 100 Freestyle S9, third heat of 3. Australia's Timothy Diston goes in 4th. Going in lane 6 for Great Britain, Matthew Wiley gets off to a splendid start, and just exploding off the starter's blocks was Tomasz Toth, the Hungarian, again, like his teammate in the second heat of 3 in the men's 100 Freestyle S9. Getting off to an explosive start, but this time Tomasz Toth is being overhauled by the swimmers around him. Wiley of Great Britain has now hit the front, and a fight back here from Diskin, who's got some serious back-end strength, while Yamada of Japan is not to be discounted either. Diskin, Yamada and Wiley are all within 0.11 of a second of one another.
I think we're going to see another heat where there's just a touch in it as we enter the final 25 metres, and it really is between the Japanese and the Australian who's going to touch home first. It looks as though the Australian might be finding a bit of range in the closing stages.
Well, Diskin is a very strong finisher and should take this to the wall. Indeed, eases up and just glides in. And just ahead of Mari Alcaraz of Spain. Soares holds on for 3rd. Yamada completely fading in the closing stages. But Diskin, he qualifies with a 56.73, by far the fastest of the qualifiers. And he'll have the lane 4 draw for the final of this men's 100 free S9. And that'll please the youngster. Diskin, like many Australian para swimmers, inspired by the great Matthew Cowdrey, now retired. But Diskin, not sluggish off the blocks, but certainly didn't explode quite the way off the starter's gun like swimmers on his outside. But still able to haul it in the stroke. Diskin's strongest in the pool. Mari Alcaraz of Spain with a very respectable 57.17, and Soares finishing 3rd fastest. So the question is who advances to the final. All 3 should qualify, and indeed they do. Morlacci quickest, 6th quickest overall. Diskin, Toth and Hall the quickest to qualify. So this is the first heat of 3 in the women's 100-meter freestyle S9. Going in the opening heat, Nuifi of New Zealand, Roxon, Canada, Sims of USA, Gascon of Spain, Mark Soto of Spain, Cruz of Brazil, and Murishita of Japan. World record currently held by South Africa's Natalie du Toit when she romped to victory in Beijing 8 years ago, a 1:01:08, and there is one swimmer that's come close to that time in recent years, but she will go in the 3rd heat. Mark Soto, already a gold medalist, the 17-year-old, the 400 freestyle champion, now goes in the 100 free. Brazil's Tamil Cruz, the 24-year-old, goes in lane 6. Sarai Gascon is a very strong finisher, do not discount her. A 19-year-old Natalie Sims, a 1:05 swimmer over this distance, will be looking not only for a place in the final, but indeed to challenge for a medal. Gascon is quick, watch out for her in 4. She has a very strong back end. Going off in lane 1. Tupo Nuifi on New Zealand, the youngster, just 15 years old, a very strong start, but once she gets into her stroke, Gascon shows that she's got some real ability to lead this out fight. She's got such a wonderful kick and gets so much propulsion through the water, but on her outside, Marcus Soto, who is the type of swimmer that can stay within striking range and then suddenly bite at the very end of a race, is still off her left shoulder.
So Gascon touching in first there. It's not a huge margin in at 0.21, and Marcos Soto really pushing from the shoulder there. As we head down the final 50, she'll hold that lead, but let's see if there's much of a challenge in the final 25.
Well, it now really is the battle between Sims and Marcus Soto, I think, to see who finishes second. It's Marcus Soto who's making a little bit of a move here. Sims dropping back, but Gascon is just holding on. She'll be aware of Marcus Soto on her outside, and Gascon, she's got so much speed right at the back end of a race. It's just managing to hold off a closing Marcus Soto. It is Sims who does touch third quickest overall, but a 103.36. It's well outside Gascon's best, but she will leave a little in the tank for the final. She will have a big battle on her hands. Sarai Gascon. Smiles from Marcus Soto, and Natalie Sims will take her third place and hope that that is enough to advance. Well, the two Spanish swimmers side by side. It was Gascon ahead of Marcus Soto. And the opening heat, seeing the two Spanish swimmers draw one another along, and Gascon finishes ahead of her compatriot. Well, Natalie Sims of the United States finishes third fastest overall. Camille Cruz as well. Another nervous wait, but perhaps not done enough to advance to this final. The middle heat of 3 in the women's 100-meter Freestyle S9. Oh, they line up. Ketko, Vermarin, Lin, Cole, Marin, Aspen, Sitchi, and Ince of Trinidad and Tobago. Of United States, 16-year-old going in lane 6 alongside Amy Marin, but the swimmer that'll be most watched is, well, that's Vermarin of Netherlands in 2. Lin Ping will be alongside her, but Ellie Cole of Australia, the world champion and the gold medalist of 4 years ago, goes in 4. Ellie Cole off to a decent start, and into the pool she goes. She breaks water very early, does Ellie Cole. Going alongside her is Lin Ping of People's Republic of China, putting some really early pressure on. Thailand's Antya Ketko goes in lane 1 with a little burst of speed, and I'm not convinced she'll be able to hold on for much too long, and indeed now does drop a little back. But it is Lin Ping who currently leads Ellie Cole, the world champion and defending champion, to the first 50.
Yes, she's gone out extremely hard, Lin Ping, and certainly has the edge of almost half a second on Ellie Cole. We know that Ellie Cole has an extremely strong back end, and look at her here. Well, she's come off the wall with style and now is challenging for the lead of this heat 2.
Well, Ellie Cole is showing why. She is a 4-time Paralympic champion already, and a silver medalist in the 400 free, so is in decent form. But Lin Ping went out very hard, tried to take the race to Ellie Cole, but Ellie Cole not to be intimidated, not to be dominated. It'll be a 103.4 for Ellie Cole of Australia, finishes ahead of Lin Ping of China. Amy Marin of Great Britain touches third quickest overall, while fourth to the wall is Vermarin of the Netherlands in lane 2. Aspen only touching 5th fastest overall. Antya Ketko of Thailand touching 6th fastest overall after that impressive start, but Ellie Cole smiles all round. This is where she might very well come into her own. And she's expecting it, but she'll have a battle as well, Ellie Cole. There's a smile from Amy Marin, third place. Very strong from Ellie Cole.
Well, she didn't panic over that first 50 metres despite Lin Ping going out so hard. The temptation can be sometimes to sprint to keep up, but she held her nerve and just glided in the end. That final 25 metres looked so strong and easily touching in despite that early challenge. Second fastest qualifier at the moment after 2 of 3 heats.
So Lin Ping of People's Republic of China couldn't challenge Ellie Cole in the back end, and Cole takes it ahead of Lynn, with Marin touching third quickest. Women's 100 meter freestyle S9, third heat of 3. And now, watch out for Michelle Konkerly of the United States, going in lane 4. She's the closest swimmer to Natalie DeToy's world record that was set 8 years ago, that we've seen from any swimmer over this distance in this classification. She is only 0.07 of a second, 7/100ths of a second outside DeToy's 0.17 outside DeToy's best. Oh, she gets off decently in lane 4, does Michelle Konkerly from the United States. Ashley McConnell of Australia got off to a good underwater and streamline, but doesn't make a count in the stroke. Alongside her in 2 is Beecroft of Australia. Ichinose of Japan in lane 1. Took it out hard in the opening 25, but is not holding on. At the moment is Beecroft just behind Konkerly of the United States, and Wang of China perhaps third.
Nice touch off the wall there, and she's going to try and extend this lead. We know she'll have a bit of kick in this second 50. But China and looks to be Australia challenging for the second position at this stage, although it is quite even across the pool.
Very even at the moment, but the second through to fifth is going to be relatively even. But there is one swimmer who's going to win it, and it is Michelle Konkerly of the United States of America. Look how close it is for second through to fifth between the swimmers. Konkerly will win it just outside world record time, but indeed near her best. It is Australia who managed a third place through McConnell, with Xu Jialing closing quickest outside of Wang. So Wang finds herself relegated to fifth overall, with Beecroft managing to sneak in fourth position. She's very happy with that time, is Michelle Konkerly. At her last Paralympic Games, despite being at her first Paralympic Games, this is the only Paralympic Games she is planned on competing at, and she wants to make it count.
Well, she was great out of the blocks, and already by the halfway mark of that first 50 was opening up a lead, and really a demonstration of how to swim a strong 100 metres, because she didn't tire at all, even though she'd set a good 50 to start off with, and in the end significantly faster than the next 2 fastest qualifiers going into the final.
Well, Michelle Konkerly has sent out a little reminder of her speed. Xu, McConnell, Beecroft, Wang, Ichinose, Gorichuk and Gray of South Africa finishing 8th. The 8 to advance to the final. Konkerly ahead of Gascon, ahead of the defending champion Cole, with Marcus Soto, Xu Jialing, even Lin Ping, very capable.
As we move on to the men's 200 metres individual medley SM6, there's 2 heats. Xu Qing, the world and Paralympic record holder, is swimming in heat 1. He'll be in lane 3. But running through the list, Valinsky in 2, Xu Qing in 3, Kindred from Great Britain in 4, Jia Hongguang from China in 5, Christiakis in 6 from Italy, and Dolphin from Greece rather, and Dolphin from Italy in 7. So the lane to watch, well, there's a few of them actually, because Xu Qing might be the record holder, but he hasn't posted the quickest qualifying time. You can see him in the white cap at the front of the field. He's taken it out very quickly in the first 50. So the medley strokes, of course, 50 of each discipline. An early challenge from Kindred from Great Britain. Xu Qing, the defending champion, will touch in first. His qualifying time, as I mentioned, well outside his best, 7 seconds. He already has 3 golds in Rio. And it was actually Kindred who managed to keep that challenge up. He's a veteran, of course, the 38-year-old, and gold in Beijing. His 6th Paralympics, would you believe? What a fantastic effort. And there's not much between the two swimmers at the moment.
Well, Kindred actually has more Paralympic medals overall than Xu Qing in their very decorated careers, and they are neck and neck at the moment as they go into the backstroke. But bear in mind, Xu Qing is known for both his fly and his freestyle, not so much for his backstroke and his breaststroke, whereas Kindred has got the edge certainly on the strokes in which Xu Qing might struggle. It's Jia Hongguang who's making a little bit of a move in this backstroke. And indeed, Jia Hongguang touches first, but Kindred into the breaststroke off the wall, the quickest. And now Xu Qing to try to keep pace with the two who have gone ahead of him in this race. But if he's got himself within striking distance for that 50 free, he knows he can surpass both these swimmers in the back end of this 200 IM.
So trying to stay in touch with the lead swimmers. He didn't have the best turn and he came off the wall a little slowly, but it's the Brit at the moment who's leading the charge, Kindred, and closely followed by Jia Hongguang from China, the 28-year-old. And Kindred, after so much experience, would dearly love another medal here in Rio. He'll easily touch in for the final 50, but let's watch lane 3. Xu Qing, we know that he's got an impressive freestyle. We're going to see him come home hard, but it's his teammate, Jia Hongguang, who's holding second place at the moment in this heat, the first of two.
So Kindred, 2004 and 2008 champion, has taken this race to his opponents. Jia Hongguang is holding on for second, and Xu Qing, despite his back-end speed, there's too much to do in this heat. He'll just qualify for the final and then perhaps try to turn it on, analyse his splits between races, and work out a plan for the final.
So it'll be Kindred to touch in first. He's got an easy advantage here. It'll be Jia Hongguang from China touching in second. And Xu Qing swimming below his best, you'd have to say, at this stage, but he'll touch in third. He will have done enough, I suspect, to make it to the final. In fourth place, Belinsky. Fifth is Christiakis, and just bringing in our sixth place swimmer. The crowd is really urging him on. That's Dolphin from Italy. You can see on the bottom of your screen. So he'll touch in sixth. And Brownlee applauded for his effort, but Kindred showing much longevity as an athlete and doing what he needed to do to get himself in the final later on day 5.
Approaching his 39th birthday, Sasha Kindred, and still going strong in the search for further gold medals.
So
very quickly.
See the start there. You can go from a sitting start in the pool should you wish, or off the blocks. And there was a bit of a tussle over the first 50 metres and then the first 75, but Sasha Kindred easily touching in the end to win that heat. A reminder of his time was 2:43.75, so well off his best, but it should be enough.
Well, Kindred has been disqualified.
Okay, we've got some news coming through here. We'll have to... So that puts Jia Hongguang in at the quickest of that heat. Kindred there on your screen. Well, we're moving on to heat 2 of the men's 200 metres individual medley, and again the swimmers to watch in lanes 4 and 5, Glock and Crispin Corzo. Glock is going to get a huge reception here, of course. He's the Brazilian hope, and also in lane 7, Rodriguez as well. Glock is 21 years of age, a silver in the relay already and bronze in the Worlds last year. So the lineup is from lane 2, McLean from New Zealand, Yang Hong from China, Glock in 3, Crispin Corzo in 4, Semenenko from Ukraine in 6, and Rodriguez in 7 from Brazil. So I expect some noise here for the Brazilians. So it was a strong start from Semenenko in 6, who's taken the early lead. He's gone out very hard for the butterfly. And that dolphin kick working well.
And Simonenko is a very strong backstroker as well, so he'll be wanting to make his move in the opening 2 legs. But it looks like Crispin Corso of Colombia, Talis and Glock have just come back fighting really hard here. Yang Hong of China as well, going decently in lane 3, all passing Simonenko here after his impressive start. And the touch at the wall first is by the Colombian Crispin Corso.
So a lead of just over a second there for Crispin Corso. He obviously got off to a sluggish start in that first 50, but built through that 50 butterfly. But it's neck and neck here as we enter the second 25 of the second lap, the backstroke leg. And it looks as though Glock is just going to pull in front and will cruise in at the 100-metre mark. So Glock enjoying the backstroke leg. And it'll be Yang Hong from China in 3rd position as well. So opening up a little bit of a lead here is Glock.
Well, he's been a medalist at the last 2 World Championships in this event. He's a good all-round swimmer, is Talis and Glock, without completely dominating one stroke. Crispin Corso, however, is a very, very good breaststroker, but he completely dominates in the freestyle events. He's a multiple world champion in freestyle events, and indeed, when it comes to the freestyle, if he is leading at the wall, you would expect that Crispin Corso is going to bring this home for the victory. Yang Hong is also very strong in the back end of IMs, and he's showing it with his breaststroke. Talis and Glock is now fading slightly, and not to say he's fading, it's just that Crispin Corso and Yang Hong are swimming a lot faster, a lot better. Crispin Corso surely won't lose it here as he enters the final 50. Yang is also quick, but just how much pace does he have back end?
So Crispin Corso, the crowd willing the Brazilian athlete Glock to stay in touch there, and he's slightly off the pace, but the Chinese and the Colombian athlete are dueling it out for the first position in this heat 2 of the individual medley, and it could well be that Yang Hong has the advantage, but it'll be a touch in it at this stage. Crispin Corso finishing strongly over the final 15 metres. It looks as though he should comfortably finish in 1st position of heat 2. It'll be the Chinese athlete touching in 3rd, and the Brazilian at 2nd rather, and the Brazilian touching in 3rd. Don't forget, we've still got another Brazilian athlete to come as well, so expect another cheer from the crowd. Valinsky, you can see at the top of your screen, and Christiakis from Greece touching in as well. And the support you can hear from the Olympic Aquatic Stadium is for the final swimmer, Roberto Rodrigues from Brazil, touching in 6th position. So the final time there, Crispin Corso 2:42.25, more than a second faster than the previous heat. So shortly we'll be able to give you confirmation of the final lineup for the final of the men's 200 metres individual medley SM6. So you could see Crispin Corso there in the pink cap.
Well, this was Simonenko at the turn, but Crispin Corso leading. Crispin, already a silver medalist in the 50 free and multiple world champion of the 100 free. Not going to lose it on the back end, a very strong breaststroke, and again, words of congratulation for his opponents, Talis and Glock of Brazil. Yeah, little kiss for the camera.
Crispin Corso, the 24-year-old, so Yang Hong, just 16 years of age, and already has a bronze medal to his name. So we look to the final standings there. So Crispin Corso easily the quickest qualifier ahead of Yang Hong. Glock in 3rd, and Jiao Hongguang 2:45.45, China and Israel. Also qualifying as we look to heat 1 of the women's 200 metres individual medley SM6. and a darling of the sport. Ellie Simmons will be swimming in Heat 2. She's the current world record holder and Paralympic record holder as well. And if we run through the entrance in Heat 1, we have Boit in 2, Lu Dong from China in 3, Mershko from Ukraine in 4, Thomas Kane from Australia in 5, Herzog in 6, and Illes in 7. And Mereshko, gold and bronze. She's fastest qualifier overall at 3:03, which is actually under the Paralympic record. 24 years of age, and she'll be a real threat in this event. So Mereshko, the 24-year-old, swimming in lane 4. And Lu Dong swimming next to her in 3. It's gotten off to a terrific start. She's also won a silver in the backstroke, a gold and a silver in London, and she's off to an excellent start for the first leg of the women's 200 metres medley. And Tiffany Thomas-Kane from Australia having a great swim in the butterfly. She's currently in 2nd position, and Mereshko has a little bit of work to do, but we know she'll be able to come home strongly in the later stages of the race.
Well, Mereshko is the fastest of the swimmers arguably in the pool, but Lu Dong of China and Tiffany Thomas-Kane are showing great strength in the opening stages of this race. Lu Dong is just pulling away from every other swimmer in the field. She'll lose a little in the back end of this closing 50, but Tiffany Thomas-Kane looking to just stay ahead of Mereshko at the moment. A significant age gap between them. Tiffany Thomas-Kane, the youngest by far in this field at just 15. It's Lu Dong at the moment who's maintaining that lead, and while she is slowing a little, I think she's got significant enough lead for her not to be overhauled by Mereshko, who now does pass Tiffany Thomas-Kane and showing her speed in the water.
So Mereshko building through that second 50. It will be Lu Dong who touches in first as we head into the breaststroke. And Mereshko will be happy with that 50. She made up a significant portion of the pool, and Thomas-Kane touching in 3rd position. Still 100 metres to go, and as we mentioned, Lu Dong already a decorated Paralympian. Thomas-Kane already has 2 bronze, just 15 years of age, and she's got a full complement here. She's swimming in 8 events. And, well, Mereshko making up a little bit of ground there on Lu Dong. She's, as we mentioned, the fastest qualifier in this event at 3:03.73, 24 years of age, and that is, qualifying time is quick enough to be under Paralympic record time. I'm not entirely sure she'll be able to achieve that in this heat, but let's see how she comes home with the freestyle. Lu Dong just a body length in front at the moment as they head into the final turn. And it's evening up at the front of the field. Mereshko and Thomas-Kane neck and neck. Mereshko just with an edge coming out of that turn, and Tiffany Kane, Thomas-Kane is going to try and hold on there, and Lu Dong starting to tire a little in lane 3. But Mereshko, well, look at this. Here's why she was the fastest qualifier. She's having a lovely freestyle leg, and she's looking very comfortable indeed. Didn't panic in the early stages when she saw how quickly the Chinese athlete went out, and in the end it's going to be an easy victory in this heat 1. But she knows she wants to send a message to the other competitors in this event, and it is a Paralympic record. She's done well, she's touched in, so she'll be very pleased with that. She's slower than her qualifying time, but quicker than the Paralympic record.
Fanny Illich of Hungary comes to the wall 6th. But indeed, Mereshko showing her class in the closing stages. It was that 3rd leg that again made all the difference. 3rd length of breaststroke.
To give you an idea in the end how quickly she came home, she touched the wall at the 150 mark in 2nd position, but then finished 6 seconds ahead of Thomas-Kane. So a dominant final leg in the freestyle, and showing why she'd have to be among the favourites for the gold in this event.
And Lu Dong Well, very, very powerful through the water, particularly on the backstroke. Unable to maintain that speed through the breaststroke and only managing to finish third overall.
Well, they like what they see here at the Olympic Aquatic Stadium, and nice to see another record fall in the opening session. So there we have the final lineup at Mereshko, Thomas Kane, Lu Dong, then Herzog, Voigt and Il. We'll have to wait and see whether their times are quick enough to move into the final in the later session on day 5. So we move into the second heat and expect a big cheer here because we have one of the favourite athletes from London 2012, Ellie Simmonds, the defending Paralympic champion at 21 years of age, the fastest qualifier by 3 seconds. And she's just got a dominant back-end freestyle as well. She's won 6 Paralympic medals, 4 in London. So the start list will be Jornsdotter, Wilson, Schott, Simmonds, Song in 5, Turner, Trio, Delgadillo in 7. So 7 swimmers in this heat. Turner in 6, just 14 years of age. So the option of starting in the pool or on the blocks. So Ellie Simmonds' reaction time there, you could see she was so quick, but it's lane 6 that's going well early. Nicole Turner from Ireland's had a great start off the blocks and she's enjoying this butterfly leg. But we do know that Ellie Cole has such a strong finish.
Yeah, Nicole Turner does like to take it out very hard, very early. The 14-year-old at her first Paralympic Games is just enjoying the experience, and in all the races that she's participated in, she's got an amazing reaction time and just explodes off the block and off the starter's gun. But does tend to fade in the back end of races. But it does look like Schott of Germany and Simmonds of Australia are next fastest. Song Ling Ling, do not discount Song Ling Ling. She's also a particularly strong swimmer. But it is Turner who touches first and currently leads. Into the backstroke she goes, but she'll be overhauled in this leg almost certainly by Eleanor Simmonds, who already is just making up. Look at the way she is streaking past Turner at the moment. And Song Ling Ling just going with Ellie Simmonds as well. Verena Schott trying to make up a little bit of speed and trying to go with the front 3. It's Turner falling off the pace now. But it is Song Ling Ling and Eleanor Simmonds who are 1 and 2 at the moment. It's Simmonds who might even lose out that lead to Song Ling Ling with 100 to go.
Yeah, so Song Ling Ling will touch in at the wall first. A beautiful backstroke leg. It's a joy to watch. But now let's see how we fare in the breaststroke. And Ellie Simmonds has come off the wall extremely well. She's got a good advantage, a healthy advantage over Song Ling Ling now. And Verena Schott in lane 3, just off the pace a little at this stage. We can expect her to go extremely hard on the final free leg, but at the moment Ellie Simmonds is building a lead through the breaststroke leg. Song Ling Ling staying in range, and there's some challenges coming as well from lane 7, and Nicole Turner hasn't fallen away completely from the lead yet, the youngster. She's still staying in range, but Ellie Simmonds, well, she's going to post a very quick time indeed. She's coming to the wall unchallenged, and she'll start the freestyle leg well in front.
Well, Ellie Simmonds, as you said, one of the crowd favourites at London 2012, 4 years ago. And indeed, in one of her favourite events now, if not her favourite, the women's 200 individual medley SM6. It is Eleanor Simmonds who is not leading after the opening leg, but who is nearly half a pool length ahead of any other contender, bar Song Ling Ling at the moment, is comfortably in front into the final 25 metres.
Ellie Simmonds set a world record in her qualifying, and let's see how her time's looking here. That world record of 3 minutes, .01. The Paralympic record, 3:05.39. She looks like she may well come under that. She'll be outside the world record, but a Paralympic record. Ellie Simmons showing she is the woman to beat in her pet event, and Song Ling Ling, a great result for her, touching in second. 309.93, that Paralympic record 302.40 from Ellie Simmons. So Song Ling Ling about 7 seconds off the pace. She had a great lead out, but really Ellie Simmons just unbeatable in that final 53. As we wait for the final athletes to round out the field, and Bjornsdottir is coming in at the top of your screen in lane 1. So Simmons, Song and Schott, the top 3 positions. So Ellie Simmons took almost 3 seconds off her previous Paralympic record that she set in London 4 years ago. So showing she's in top form at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. And it was a solid backstroke leg, particularly from Song Ling Ling, and she touched in first after the backstroke, so that was at the 100 metres mark. And then in the breaststroke, Ellie Simmons just managed to have a fantastic push off the wall. And in the end, demonstrating why she's the woman to beat. Heading to her media commitments and looking at the final standings. Okay, so heat 2 results there. So it looks as though Schott should make it through to the final. Here we have it. So Ellie Simmons, Mareshko, Song Ling Ling, Thomas Kane.
It's now the men's 50-metre butterfly S7, the first heat of 2. So we go to the opposite side of the pool. Charav Suyashnarayan, Kozlenko of Ukraine, Bogodaiko of Ukraine, Levy of Australia, Rasnitsia of Ukraine, and Bjornstad of Norway. 6 swimmers who go lanes 2 to 7 respectively. Under starters' orders.
Please start mark.
Bogodaiko and Levy of Australia get alongside one another into the pool very quickly. It is Bogodaiko who is going strongest at the moment, the Ukrainian. Gold in the 100 backstroke, silver in the 50 free. And in the 50 fly, he is looking to show the remainder of this field that he is the strongest competitor. Kozlenko of Ukraine is looking strong over his left shoulder, and Levy of Australia certainly looking good for 2nd or 3rd place, depending on the wall. But Bogodaiko is going to be the swimmer to beat, and indeed has the luxury of gliding to the wall. He touches ahead of his compatriot Kozlenko, and the Australian 3rd quickest overall. But this, a very impressive opening swim in the 50 fly for Yevgeny Bogodaiko of the Ukraine. The world champion in this event in 2013. 29-year-old Levy finishing 3rd overall, quickly off the starting blocks.
That reaction time just so crucial in the 50 fly. Easily touching in. It was a fight on for the minor placings of that heat.
So Bogodaiko ahead of Kozlenko, Levy, Rasnitsia, Suyashnarayan and Bjornstad. Suresh Narayan, son of the Indian swimmer Jadav Suraj, in years gone by. Second heat of the men's 50 fly S7. Indeed, a couple of champions will go head to head already in this championship. Carlos Serrano of Colombia will go in lane 3 alongside Pan Shiyun of People's Republic of China. It's Sherman, Avilier, Serrano, Pan, Wang, Polap and Taras. Pan Shiyun. Well, not only does he hold the world record, he equaled it last year, swimming in London again, same pool, and the Paralympic record holder. Paralympic record, world record, held by Pan Shiyun after his success to claim gold in the pool in 2012. But he'll be up against Carlos Serrano, already gold in the 100 breast, his favorite event, and a bronze in the 50 free, which perhaps he wasn't expecting to medal in. So he'll feel that he's in fine form at the moment. He's broken 6 world records in the breast over the last year or so as Serrano. So his swimming is looking very strong. Pan, though, the favorite. So starter unhappy. Every so often there's a wobble on the starting blocks or noise from the audience. Swimmers need to reset. Pan Shiyun, People's Republic of China, gold in the 50 free, wants to add another sprint title to his impressive collection already. Serrano, Pan and Wang in the 3 centre lanes. Oh, enormous. How was that for a start from Serrano? Talk about exploding off the blocks. At the starter's gun, Serrano, not the quickest in the water, but gave himself a real chance, and at the moment still leads with Wang Qinggang of People's Republic of China going in lane 5 very strongly indeed. The defending champion is 3rd overall and is not making up ground, and finishing stronger is Tobias Polap of Germany. Now the defending champion comes back on Serrano, but he's not going to beat his compatriot. It'll be Wang first to the wall, and indeed Carlos Serrano touches just ahead of Pan, who is closing fast. But Serrano, if he gets another start like that off the blocks, can give himself a real chance of a medal in the final. Wang Qinggang, the quickest in the water, undoubtedly. But Colombia looking good for more celebrations. Such an infectious, bubbly personality. He's always smiling, is Carlos Serrano.
Yes, and as you say, we see it there. He was almost a full torso in front of the others out of the blocks.
Well, it's a thoroughly impressive start that just gave him the edge. In the 50 meters, there is not much time to make up for it in the water. And on the stroke, he caught Pan, who had just looked to catch Serrano. The German Polap was closing strongest and finished 4th overall, swimming from lane 6, just outside the 32-second mark, 32.13 for the German. And with that time, he'll qualify for the final inside Vlasnitsia's time. So the swimmers who advance to the final, the men's 50 fly S7 final, will see 3 Ukrainians in a race that features 2 Chinese swimmers, a German, a Colombian and an Australian. This is the first heat of 2 in the women's 50 fly S7. 5 swimmers go in lanes 2 to 6. Courtney Jordan in lane 4 to watch. Well, Courtney Jordan didn't get off to a great start. Rola Marical of Spain did, and Sarah Meehan of Canada got off to a very good start. But Courtney Jordan in the water is quick. She hasn't won a Paralympic gold medal since Beijing as Courtney Jordan, but she's looking to change that here in what might very well prove to be her last Paralympic Games. She's only 25, but more about that when she looks to go to the wall. It's Sarah Meehan of Canada who is really holding this race together, and she's looking strongest. Courtney Jordan trying to close it out and will come to the wall first. a very strong finish, a spurt of speed at the end. Jordan finishes ahead of Meehan, with Rollo of Spain touching third quickest.
So Courtney Jordan, 50 metres, 36.51, and Sarah Meehan from Canada, as you say, really had a push on at the end. She touched in at 36.91.
Sarah Meehan leading for much of this race. Courtney Jordan, not a great reaction time. Meehan got off very quickly, and Rollo of Spain gave herself a good chance in the water. With Courtney Jordan, she's got the power, she's got the stroke, and indeed in the end had enough to see her comfortably touch ahead of the Canadian, and the two Canadians in the pool. Jordan finishes ahead of Meehan, Rollo third, Ratliff of Canada fourth, and Mäkinen of Finland fifth. Now for the second heat of the women's 50-metre fly S7. Denise Grell, Mackenzie Cohen, Nikita Howarth, Susanna Rogers and Veronica Almeida. Well, if there's one swimmer that Courtney Jordan will be looking out for in this race, it'll be Nikita Howarth. Mallory Wegerman, the world record holder, is not swimming in this event. The focus is elsewhere. Well, the Paralympic champion of 8 years ago, Huang Min, still holds the Paralympic record, just under the 34.50 mark, 34.47. Veronica Almeida, nearest to your screen, having just gotten into the water, 41-year-old Brazilian. And Nikita Howarth of New Zealand goes in lane 4, and will be the swimmer to watch. Grell, Cohen, Howarth, Rogers and Almeida. Lanes 2 to 6. Very quick off the blocks for Nikita Howarth, the 17-year-old. She's top ranked in the world in this race, in this event, in this class. And she's not disappointing, a good solid start. And looking very strong in the pool. It's not a significant lead, but it indeed is a lead, and she's looking comfortable at the moment. She's being pressured by Susanna Rogers of Great Britain on her outside, but they are well ahead of the United States as Mackenzie Cohen. Rogers will finish second, the veteran of this race, along with Almeida, but Howarth touches ahead of Rogers. And Cohen third quickest. Almeida of Brazil fourth overall. And Denise Grell touches outside the 40-second mark, 40.62 in fifth. So Howarth with a 35.4. She qualifies very quickly. And in fact, both Rogers and Howarth will have posted a quicker time than Courtney Jordan in the opening heat, so Howarth will have the preferred lane going into the final. Women's 50-metre Butterfly S7. Real battle between Jordan and Howarth expected in the final. It's not going to disappoint. They're both comfortably through. Howarth with a 35.4, the quickest in the heats, while Susanna Rogers finishes second, just outside 36 seconds. Cohen, Almeida, Grell, third, fourth and fifth. So the 8 to advance to the final of the women's 50 fly S7. Howarth, Rogers, Jordan, Meehan, Cohen, Rollo, Almeida and Ratliff. Brazil will have representation, but the battle for gold should be between the top 4.
So the big cheer you could hear there was for the Brazilian athlete, Silva, who's going to be swimming in lane 3, the men's 50 metres Freestyle S5 division. So I'll run through the start list. You can see on the screen there, Panita Castro, Seeger, Silva, Perkins, Rodriguez, Skachaluga and Larson. Rounding out a field of 7 in heat 1 of 2 fastest to advance. And the world record holder and Paralympic record holder in this event, Daniel Diaz, will swim in the second heat. Perkins from the US has shown top form coming into this event. He's 26 years of age. He's got a gold and a silver. Castro, a veteran at 45. And Seeger from Malaysia competing in his second Olympics. Silver, of course, gold in Athens. And the bronze medalist in Sydney. It was a quick start there from the Brazilian. They're off to a flyer, they are, in this 50 metres. And at the early stage, it's actually Rodriguez who's performing extremely well, the Spaniard. Heading down the 50 metres. So in the fifth lane, it is Rodriguez who has the early advantage, but he's receiving a big challenge here. The crowd is lifting.
Well, Perkins are looking really strong at the moment in lane 4, ahead of Rodriguez. Eduardo Silva is being cheered on by the crowd, but Roy Perkins of USA takes it to the wall. Roy Perkins is feeling in very good form at the moment, is Roy Perkins.
So Perkins from the USA, as we said earlier, shown top form coming into this event and already has medals here at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. And
very good Paralympic Games for him, yeah.
34.22, so still well outside the time posted by Daniel Diaz 2 years ago in Pasadena, but should go through comfortably.
Rodriguez at 59, that was just thoroughly impressive from the Spaniard, who led for a little while in the race, but Roy Perkins, not to be denied, took over and took control of this race. Roy Perkins taking it to the wall. He's having a very good Paralympic Games, is the very popular Roy Perkins.
Yes, as you said, Rodriguez touching in second, would dearly love to add to his tally of medals. So the big cheer you hear there, no surprises. Daniel Diaz, who's swimming in lane 4. And if we run through the start list in lane 1, Lopez, Diaz, 8 in total, of course, for this heat, heat 2. Currin from France, Mullen, Diaz, Vaux, P, Scully and Septakis from Greece, rounding out that field of 8. But they love him here, they've loved him all these games, and they'd love to see him perform well. Diaz, 28 years of age and the defending champion, the 2015 Paris Swimmer of the Year. Is in lane 4 as the fastest qualifier. Qualifying time of 32.41. Paralympic record is 32.05. So a good start there for Diaz, but it's Mullen in lane 3 with the early advantage. He swims under just a little longer, but Diaz has come out of the water. And now he's starting to dominate. He's motoring through as he enters the second 25 metres. Diaz, he's only got a slim margin though. Vaux is in the next lane, the lane beneath him, lane 5. Diaz is receiving a challenge here. The challenge is on. Diaz, as he touches in for the final 15 metres, he should come home with it. The crowd willing him on. Just outside his Paralympic record, but a solid swim with Vaux and the Chinese athlete He Shiwei touching in third in that heat. So they came here to see him. Daniel Diaz, world and Paralympic record holder, and he's certainly impressed his adoring fans.
For Tung Tung of Vietnam touching second quickest. From the People's Republic of China, He Shiwei, 35.41. But Daniel Diaz looked so good. Great underwater that he has, and then breaks into his stroke. But Vo Tang Tung pushed him all the way.
He did push him right until the end, and Vo had an excellent qualifying time of 34.43. He's actually swum a lot faster than that, 33.87 for that 50 metres.
Well, watched Vo at the Asian Para Games, where he won 6 medals, 5 of them gold. He just dominated in the pool and has just set an Asian record in swimming to second behind Diaz. Some real push and fight that he needed to produce to match Diaz.
So it will be a very interesting final indeed. We look to the standings there. So Diaz will go through in lane 4. Vo, Perkins, Rodriguez, Chiwei, Mullen, Skarkaluga and Silva rounding out that field of 8. As we move on to the women's 50 metres freestyle S5 category, and again, a world record and Paralympic record holder, Teresa Perales swimming in the second heat, but the ones to watch in heat 1, Rung, Silva and Zhang Li all posted pretty tidy qualifying times. The world record is 35.88. That is also the Paralympic record that's been equalled since Perales set it in Beijing. It was equalled by Natalia Ziani in London 4 years ago. So looking at the lineup here, Engelhardt will swim in 1. There's 8 swimmers in total. Ribeiro, 2, Brazilian. Rung in 3, Silva in 4, Zhang in 5, Fatis in 6, Gialamas, 21-year-old in 7th, and Go, the 29-year-old in 8th. And Joanna Maria Silva, the second fastest qualifier for this event, 29 years of age and a silver medal already, 4th in London. Rung already has a silver and bronze here, 26 years of age, and Zhang Li, 18 years of age, 2 golds to her name. So Silva the one to watch in 4. She's got away to a good start, but it's Ribeiro from Brazil, perhaps with the excitement of the moment, has got away to a flying start up in lane 2. And Zhang Li from China in 5 doing extremely well, and expect her to have a decent kick home. But it is Silva in lane 4 who has the advantage. She's increasing it at the moment. She's almost moving out to a full body length in front is Silva, the Brazilian. And she's going to touch in. Look at her go home. The time is going to be a good one. It's not going to be record breaking, but 37.22 comes home with the advantage over Zhang Li. And Silva, as we mentioned, 29 years of age, 4th in this event in London. She'd dearly love to finish in the medals here. So 37.22 Zhang Li, and now it was Norway in 3rd with 41.68. Sarah Louise Rung. Anita Fatis from France in 4th position. So she'll have to wait and see how things pan out in the second heat. Ribeiro, Gialamas, Go and Engelhardt rounding out the results of the 8 swimmers in heat 1 of the women's 50 metres freestyle S5. It was a strong start by Ribeiro in lane 2, but in the end, by the halfway mark, Silva looking very comfortable, and you can see that challenge though. Right in the last 15, Zhang Li really pushed her to the finish line. But Silva able to touch in at the wall first, and she's enjoyed herself. So official confirmation of heat 1 there. 37.22, Joanna Maria Silva, Zhang Li in 2nd position, Sarah Louise Rung in 3rd. So that's the top 3, and the rest of the athletes will have to wait and see how things pan out in this second heat, which of course features Teresa Perales from Spain, who is the world record and Paralympic record holder. She has had that record equalled, but she set it back in Beijing. Talk about longevity.
Oh, Perales is one of the greats, undoubtedly one of the greats. Teresa Perales.
Yeah, so 40 years of age, silver in London after a gold in Beijing. That makes her the fastest qualifier though for this event as we run through who you'll see in this heat 2. So the fastest 8 advancing from the 2 heats. Fragoso in 1, Yao Xuan from China in 2, Pizarro in 3, Perales will swim in 4, Trebanova in 5, Narita in 6, Xu Shihan in 7th, and Kedzi from Hungary in 8th. So it is the women's 50 metres freestyle S5. Perales qualifying time of 37.19. Still well off the incredible time she set 8 years ago, but still returning to form. Trebanova, interestingly, returned to swimming after 5 years away when they reinstalled this event. She's 40 years of age. She won medals in Beijing and Athens.
Oh, Perales as well. She took 2 years off after the birth of her son, maternity leave, and decided to retire, and then came back to the sport, and all the richer for it. Now a 23-time Paralympic medalist.
Pizarro, also a very decorated Paralympian in lane 3.
Take your mark. Relax. Relax.
So race officials just tidying up a few issues at the starting blocks. So a decent start there from Perales, and early on she's showing that she's the woman to beat in this event. Cruising out to the front of the field, but there is a challenge happening from lane 6, Narita swimming very strongly. Can't quite seem to catch her yet, but Perales holding her lead, extending it just a little as we head into the final 15, and Perales, her time, it'll be quick. It won't be record quick, but she's swimming very strongly, looking comfortable, touching in the wall easily first. 37.87. Narita will finish in second position, and Pizarro, the Israeli, finishing in third in that heat. So we'll bring you the updated qualification for the final shortly, but Perales, as expected, showing she's in fantastic form, and at 40 years of age has had such success over this distance. And Pizarro, you could see on screen just there. If we look back at the start, it was, well, sharp. Probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, very sharp from Perales, but again, the experience there, sometimes unsettling when you have to restart at the under starters' orders, and that can disrupt the momentum of a few swimmers. But Perales, she's got a wise head on those 40-year-old shoulders now, and she knows how to deal with any issues that might disrupt swimmers. Mentally, she's so strong, so focused indeed. Takes it to the wall first. Not surprising, and perhaps a gold medal shout after a silver in the 200 free.
So there, confirmation of the results. So Perales easily qualifying well ahead of Narita. But Pizarro's in there too. And here we have it. So Silva qualified the quickest, Zhang Li the second. So it was a quicker heat, heat 1. Perales, Narita, Pizarro, Trebanova, Rung and Fatis rounding out that field of 8, which will contest the gold medal later on day 5 here at the Olympic Aquatic Stadium.
Well, we do have a one swim off. This is the women's 50-meter freestyle S11. It is a straight shootout between two swimmers Leticia Martinez, who's in your screen, and Tsai Li Wen of People's Republic of China. They will go head-to-head for a place in the final of the women's 50-meter freestyle S11. Both swimmers having posted a 32.86 in the preliminaries, so they come out for the second time in this preliminary session on day 5 of the swimming competition. Martinez of the United States in this S11 classification for swimmers with visual impairments. Leticia Martinez, a guide dog named Philly, who she loves playing with. Now Martinez so quick off the start this time, just edges Tsai off the starter's blocks, but Tsai is quick in the water. The silver medalist in the 100 backstroke is looking to produce a little bit of a spurt in the water, and indeed perhaps does lead. But now, depending, Martinez, who's veering wildly to the left, and Tsai is veering off to the right, both losing out on a little distance. It is Tsai who is just ahead. Martinez has the opportunity to finish strong, and indeed has the ability to finish strong, but I think it's Tsai of People's Republic of China who's going to touch, and it is Tsai who takes it to the wall. Martinez, for the second Paralympic Games in succession, misses out on the final by 1. Leticia Martinez looking to finish very strongly. But Tsai Li Wen, the People's Republic of China, not the quickest reaction time off the starting blocks, but did the business in the pool and will contest the final of the women's 50-meter freestyle S11. Both swimmers going under their time in the initial heat. 32.74 for Martinez, and Tsai Li Wen 32.2 after the 32.86. And saw them unable to be separated in the heats. And Martinez first a little veer off to the right and then zigzagging out to the left, and that's where she really lost up space on Tsai Li Wen, who herself started to veer off to the right, hit the lane rope, but Tsai holding on for the win in the swim-off. The tappers being used by the support staff. It'll notify the swimmers that they are approaching the wall. The women's 50-meter freestyle S11 swim-off sees Tsai Li Wen advance to the final, while Leticia Martinez becomes first alternate for the women's 50-meter freestyle S11. Confirmation then of the 8 swimmers who do advance. Li Guixi with the Paralympic record, fastest qualifier ahead of Rehard of Sweden and Fischer of New Zealand. Pidubna, Kamalini, Brainsma, Shi and Tsai are the 8 swimmers who will contest this final. So a Chinese trio for the Swede, New Zealander, Ukrainian, Italian and Dutch swimmer to try to beat. Now, Brazilian flag waving around. There's a lot of excitement in the pool. The likes of Clodoaldo Silva, Taliesin Glock, Daniel Dias, Andre Brazil, they've all been in the water in the preliminary session on day 5 of this swimming competition.
Yes, there's been a lot for the Brazilian crowd to enjoy. Plenty of their local athletes swimming in the preliminary rounds, and plenty of them making it through to finals as well.
Beginning to file out of the venue now at this magnificent Olympic Aquatic Stadium. The officials are leaving the pool deck. The technical officials, their Brazilian flag waving proudly in the morning session, the preliminary session. 35 heats have been swum and 1 swim-off in the 16 events. They'll have gold medal finals contested in the evening session, the final session on day 5 of the swimming competition here at Rio 2016. Team USA stands more than just a few good chances of claiming gold. 16 gold medal events that'll be contested in the 10th session of the swimming competition. Another intriguing morning session that has seen records go, Paralympic records, world records. Dubrov and Kripak in the men's 100 fly S10. That is going to be a really intriguing race when you add the ability of Andre Brazil. Well, day 5, there's still a few officials that are milling about here, and I wonder if there's an incident that might need further discussion. Either way, for now, the swimming has concluded. Now, we have officials that are making their way back to the pool deck out of screen, so I think we might have a swim off from one of the later events. The swimmers will be given an opportunity to rest a little if there is indeed a swim off. And I'm hearing that the swim-off will be contested in the men's 100-meter freestyle S9. So we will see Vanilton Filho and Lewis White of Great Britain go head-to-head in a swim-off. So the men's 100-meter freestyle S9, Vanilton Filho having gone in the opening heat. So the officials, while they left the arena initially, have now begun to file their way back into the venue. No sign of the swimmers as yet. So the men's 100-meter freestyle S9 swim-off will happen in a few minutes' time. The swimming, other than that, has concluded on this preliminary session on day 5 of the swimming competition. We'll bring you the swim-off around about 12:25 local time. Around 7 minutes from now at the Olympic Aquatic Stadium. Well, there it is. Swim off of the men's 100-meter freestyle S9 will not start before 12:25. Session having concluded at 12:15. So the first swim off having gone between Martinez and Tsai of the United States and China in the women's 50 free S11, but in the men's 100 free S9, it'll be Filho and White who go head to head. And we'll bring you that swim off shortly. So this is the swim-off for the men's 100-meter freestyle S9. Two swimmers will go head-to-head to determine who advances. Vanilton Filo and Lewis White in the swim-off. Vanilton Filo, the favourite from our host nation. Great Britain's White, already a medalist, a bronze in the 400 free. So Lewis White of Great Britain at his first Paralympic Games, the 16-year-old, waiting for the start of this race. 100 meters freestyle, straight shootout between the two. That's the Daniel Diaz camp. So Vanilton Filo of Brazil, born with a malformation in his right femur. A relay silver medalist at last year's World Championships, the 4x100 meter freestyle for Brazil. So the two swimmers for the men's 100 meter freestyle S9 make their way out poolside. Now this swim-off is not to make the final, this swim-off is to be second alternate, it must be mentioned. Both swimmers have missed out on a chance at the final. Lewis White, 16-year-old, bronze in the 400 free. Only inspired to start swimming after watching the London 2012 Paralympic Games and began taking para swimming a lot more seriously. Been a busy year for Lewis White, trying to manage his studies as well. 2016, the year of his GCSEs. So White and Filo get underway alongside one another. Lewis White straight into the pool and leading by the slightest of margins. So Lewis White didn't have the quicker reaction time off the starting block, but he got a little more power and a better underwater as well. Just looking to take it up to the opening 50 ahead of the fan favourite of Brazil, Vanilton Filo, both having swum 58.51 in the qualifiers. Neither one of these swimmers will be swimming in the final should they win this. This is for placings as alternates, this swim-off. So it is White who touched just ahead of Filo, the two swimmers having been matched with exactly the same time in the respective heats, and Filo looking to finish strongest here. Looks like he might be producing the swim right at the end that'll take the victory in the swim-off, and indeed it is Filo who touches ahead of White. 58.26 for Filo of Brazil. So winner of the swim-off, Vanilton Filo. And while he's won the swim-off, he will in all likelihood not be swimming in the final. will be one of the alternates. Philo strong back in here after White had led out. White's quicker in the water over the opening 50, touched in the lead at the halfway mark. Right, Philo, the last 25 meters just surged in front, produced a little magic midway through the second leg. And thanks those fans who've stayed long after this session is virtually concluded to watch him in the swim-off with White and Brazilian flag flying. So confirmation of the swim-off victory for Filho over White. And to confirm the swimmers who advanced to the final. So alternate is what Filho will fill for the men's 100 Freestyle S9. Diskett, Toth Hall, Mariel Alcaraz, Silva, Morlachi, Soares and Yamada will go as the 8 finalists. Well, that is the preliminary session on day 5 of the swimming competition. 35 heats have been swum, 2 swim-offs have been completed in the 16 events. That is all we have for you from the Olympic Aquatic Stadium for the preliminary session. Well, that then is where we finish on day 5 of the preliminary session of the swimming competition. Plenty to look forward to in the 10th session of the swimming competition. Myers versus Tetsenko, Yang versus Snyder, indeed Jordan versus Howarth, and plenty more battles to be done with including Diaz and Brazil in the pool for Brazil. We look forward to your company for the finals program on day 5. Until then, goodbye.